If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your Inter Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or intermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where Inter Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
This is the Big O Show.
There's many ways to support our program, from subscribing and liking the show to visiting our terrific sponsors. Another way is using Cash App. If you would like to donate to the show and help us grow, download Cash App and search Cash Big O Show. That's Cash Big O Show. We appreciate your support as we continue to build the best sports show on the planet for South Florida sports fans. Support the Big O Show by using Cash App and donate to Cash Big O Show. Thank you for your incredibly loyal support.
This is the Big O Show.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
Starting in August, longtime Miami Heat insider Ira Winderman joins the Big O Radio Show. Ira will give insight twice a week on your favorite NBA team. Heat fans get the information you crave from one of the best in the business. From weekly appearances to breaking news, join Ira Winderman exclusively on the Big O Show. Found on most platforms.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
The viewpoint, statements, or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. When it comes to South Florida sports teams, very few in the media have witnessed, lived, and covered it like the Big O. Let's start the program dedicated to your favorite South Florida teams with a passion that's unmatched. The Big O Radio Show is on. Here's the Big O.
Well, wait a minute. Okay, it would help if we actually clicked in. Anyway, good morning, boys and girls. Hope everybody is well. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. Hope you had a safe one. It was a fun one, I think, overall. Watching the Olympics, watching the Marlins, split with San Diego. That was actually fun, especially how they finished out. I felt really good for Lewis Brinson, man. You know what I mean? It's one of those guys that you just, I love people that are able to fight through the adversity and not give up, and we'll get into that, but good stuff with the Marlins. Obviously, Inter Miami yesterday played to a Ted Lasso, and so things like that happen. Appreciate it as always. Watching a little soccer, even though we didn't get the result that we really wanted, but good weekend overall. Plus the crypto market. I see John Rouse is already on the chat board. I know John Rouse is walking around with a big old smile on his face because he's now watching the market completely now. But I think now we hit that floor finally, that last dip, right? And then I think we're off now. I think we're off and running now. So John Rouse is definitely, he's the guy. See, if you walk around anywhere in South Florida, if you're driving around in South Florida and you look to next to you in the car or truck next to you, and if there's this big dude with like this smile like this size, okay, it's John Rouse. Okay, if you're walking around the mall and you see a guy with his head got oversized because the smile is so big, it's John Rouse. Okay, he's the guy. He's the guy that's really happy watching Ethereum go over 2,300 right now, and it's going to go even farther now. So, John, you are good. He says 20 ETH big. Oh, so you got a few more. You are smart. So you got a little more on that other dip. There you go. You just keep buying it, bro, because it's going to skyrocket. So it's just it's beautiful when you're smart to take advantage of the correction. Other people panicked and called it like this, a crash or something, and it's a correction. I told you guys this before. It dipped to 8 last time, Bitcoin, but it's not going to go to 8. I told you guys it wouldn't even go to 20. I told you guys, but it would go in there into the high 20s. It got there. You got that dip, but that's it. And in another year and a half from now, there's going to be another one of those corrections. But the next time, it's not going to go to 28. It's probably going to go to 48 or 40 or 38 or something around there, or maybe even 50. Who knows? Because it's going to go now to 70 to 100 now eventually. But it'll have another correction. But it won't go as far. The highs will be higher. The lows will be higher also. And that's what happened here. It didn't go down to where people were panicking. Those are the people that don't know jack about this. But if you are in crypto, you're smiling right now. You're smiling right now. You know what I'm saying? Because, if you took advantage of Poly when it fell, you took advantage of VeChain when it fell, and Cardano, and, all these great coins that are available besides Ethereum, besides, Bitcoin, you're smiling right now, man. I mean, I got VeChain at 5.9. It's crazy. I got in on VeChain at 7.8 and 9 cents. Now I got it as low as 5.9 now. I mean, I'm fine with me, bro. You want to dip a little bit more? I'm good with that. You want to give it to me at a better price than I got it already, and I know it's going to skyrocket? Let's go. Let's rock. That's the beauty of it, But it's a good weekend. It's a good weekend. Sports, crypto. Oh, man. I'm feeling good. And we are starting earlier now on the show. That's the other thing that we're doing here on the program. We're starting early. Why? Because, we got 3 guests today, but that's not only it. It's this week we add now Inside the Paint on Wednesday. And so I wanted to kind of make people adjust a little bit and I told you the show would expand. I promised you that as we add more features, we're going to expand the show. Ira Winderman and Clay Ferraro will be on Wednesday at 10 a.m. for our Inside the Paint program for an hour. I will start off the show, by the way, at 9:30 on Wednesday. So we're going to start at 10 a.m. now. That's going to be the new starting time for the show on a daily basis. And we're going to start adding more features to the show and everything else. I'm just waiting for a couple of things to fall into place, and then we'll be able to announce more things that we're adding to the show. But I told you we'd expand. We couldn't stay with 2 hours. We're going to have to expand, and we're going to have to do more because we're going to add more to the program. So we appreciate all of you out there, as always, for supporting us. So tomorrow, Ira will be with us at 10:30. So we'll have a little fun with Ira, regular interview with him. We'll talk about USA basketball. We'll preview the Heat. We'll preview Inside the Paint with him and Clay Ferraro every week here. And then next week, by the way, starts the month of August, we will add Ira Winderman twice a week, and that'll be on Tuesdays and Fridays, I believe. Wow, think about this. On Fridays, it's Ira, Omar, and Manny. Holy shit. That's like a monster lineup every Friday. Every day is a monster here because if not, we have Omar, we have Ira, we have Manny on, and we add Kyle Krabs next week on Wednesday. So the show really starts to fill up next week, and we really start to get, cranking. And now, we get football back this week. Training camp starts, which is a beautiful thing. So we now start getting, we start inching closer to real football, which is going to be a lot of fun. I mean, personally for me, I'm looking forward to going out to camp once or twice. I mean, listen, camp for me, it's like when I was talking with Omar, if you caught our conversation on Friday, I'm an old school guy. So if I go to camp, I'm not going to be that impressed. I'll be impressed with the facilities, but I'm not going to be impressed with the practice because I know that they're not going to hit a lot. So you're not really going to get a good feel. Football, there's got to be contact, bro. I'm sorry. If there's no contact, it's really hard to get a feel for football. You know what I mean? So I'll go out there and have some fun. Hopefully meet some of you out there on one of the weekend days. But I can't wait, man. I can't wait. I can't wait for the preseason at least because they're hitting. You know what I'm saying? That's cool. That's or if you can cover the practices against another team, that's another one that's incredibly productive, overall. So appreciate all of you out there as always. Man, NorCal is already in. That's, he's up early, baby. He's up. Damn, he's got it cranked in there. That's amazing. I see Lisa Rose is in the house. She says 48 days until Finn's football. Amen to that. Jay Gelfin says, good morning, Orlando. Loving the 10 a.m. start. Have you been watching the Olympics? Yes. Yes, I've been watching Simone Biles. I've been crying with the USA basketball team. I'll give you my thoughts on the USA basketball team. I'll tell you what I think is wrong, too, on this show today. Mike No-Go Zones is checking in. He says, nice and early. New time, Mikey. We're starting early now. We're starting a little earlier now on the show. We are starting to expand here on the program. John Stevens is in, says regulation potentially setting in, going to really add some scare to the coin market as a whole. No, it's not, John. No, it's not going to add any scare whatsoever. We need regulation. Regulation is a good thing. It's not a bad thing. See, that's the problem with Binance right now. You cannot be, you need regulation. You need people to help assist your business. They're not going to control because you cannot control the blockchain. So there's a difference between regulation and control. They're not going to determine who gets any money, who gets approved, who doesn't get approved. None of that stuff, dude. It's more along the lines that they're going to regulate these businesses to make sure that they know what they're doing. I'll give you an example. Again, you got to follow this to know what the hell's going on. Thorchain. I love Thorchain. Big investor in Thorchain. Thorchain's been hacked twice in the last 10 days. Now, unlike some of these other businesses that have been hacked and then they don't have the money to make up for the losses and they cave in and the investors lose their money. You know what, Thorchain got hacked twice for $4 and $8 million. Do you know what they did? They pulled out of their reserves and paid off that $12 million right on the spot. They took care of everybody that got hacked because they are adding a new addition to the blockchain, and obviously it had some kind of holes in it, and they ended up getting hacked in the process, so they could not really get clean onto the blockchain with their program. So their program was set back. They're going to fix the issue. But if you're regulated and they make sure your company's clean and your company can manage and your company is legit and your company has the money it says in the bank and those kind of things, then you, the consumer, are safer. That's what it's all about. It's about protecting you, the consumer. So I do want regulation on here. We do need some. You can't allow it to be completely the wild, wild west, because not every company is Cardano and not every company is Ethereum and not every company is Bitcoin or Matic or something. I'm talking about the big boys. Some companies, remember, there are hundreds, thousands of coins, so thousands of companies, and we don't know where they come from. We don't know what they are. Moon, whatever the hell they're called, moon soaring or whatever. You have no idea that coin, what the hell's behind it. You know what I mean? So all these kind of things do need to be regulated so that way you don't get burned like Mark Cuban got burned with that one company that got hacked. They lost their money, everybody pulled out, and they didn't have the money to cover for everybody else. And that's the problem. I forgot the name of that coin now. I didn't invest in it, but Cuban did. Cuban says he pulled his money out before everything caved in. I'm not sure if he did or not. But the point is, we do need some regulation, and it's not going to hurt at all because they're not controlling. That's the beauty of what the digital currency is and what this market is. It's going to eliminate the banks. Okay, that's why you have people in the Fed and other places that are against it because they're about to lose their power over the next couple of years. And if you, the consumer, are smart, you'll be able to actually control your own destiny. And you're going to be able to borrow from in other ways now that has nothing to do with banks with lower interests. And I just, these are things that are just going to make all of our lives that much easier. And there's going to be a lot less red tape. It's not about control. It's about defining and finding out and exposing some of the bad companies that could be out there. That's the real issue with it all. So it's not really going to hurt us at all. Uber Beaner says, I bought the dip in ADA twice recently. You smart. You are very smart, sir. Cardano is going to fly. Oh, have you ever watched the Netflix show Startup? It's about crypto in Miami. No, I haven't. I'll check it out. I'll check it out. Any good? Is it something impressive? I'll check it out. I mean, anything crypto I'm into, I'll check it out. John says, did you figure out when we're having our outing during training camp? Oh, I have to look at the dates. You know that? My bad, John. I have to look at the dates. But we don't have a lot. It's either this coming weekend or the weekend after, right? I would imagine there's not going to be a lot of opportunity. I'll be at one of those weekend practices for sure. Is X Factor showing up to camp or is he continuing his holdout? We'll find out, my brother. I think he's going to show up. I think he's going to play. I mean, I talked about this last week, right? I hope you learned your lesson from Le'Veon Bell. You got your contract already, bro. You got your signing bonus. You want to hold out and get fined $50,000 a day? You want to hurt yourself in trying to get traded? You go ahead. You want to help yourself in getting traded? Get out there on the field, ball your ass out, play another monster year, and then you'll have people lined up to trade for you. And that's it. Miami won't give you the extra money, which they shouldn't, because they already gave you your money. You know, I'm sorry. I just, I'm not playing this game with X, man. If it's not the quarterback, everything else can be replaced. And again, like I say about X, it's always something, man. Let's see. What else do we have here? Chris Ike says, good morning, Big O. I'm just getting to work, but I'll listen to you on my break and lunch break. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it. Make sure you all smash the hell out of that like button. That is really, really important. I see GP Trap and John Rouse and Big Rig and Gus 1388 and Guillermo Rouse all in the house. Steve Chapman, of course, first in there. It's a beautiful thing. All of you getting in there. Thank you so much, all of you out there, for taking care of us and supporting us here on the program. Let's see what else we got. Let me give you the lineup today. Omar Kelly is going to join us around 10:30, 10:45. He's got to go to camp, and I think he's at camp today to take a COVID test, I think. So I don't know. You know, he's going to call. He's going to check in with us right around 10:30, 10:45, or something like that. So Omar will stop by, and we'll get our EJDconstruction.com Miami Dolphins report going. At 11:30, David Dwork is going to join us, Panthers writer, Chirping the Cats podcast, WPLG. Panthers made an awesome trade for Sam Reinhart. That is just a fantastic move by the Cats. At 12:30, Michelle Kaufman is going to stop by from the Miami Herald as Inter Miami played last night against the Philadelphia Union. Sadly, they ended up with a tie after taking the lead 1-0 on the Robbie Robinson goal in the 71st minute. And then Przybylko, although, you know, every time I see this guy Przybylko, all I can think of is Sergeant Bilko. And I know it's a super old reference, and I'm so I apologize. And I know most of you young people out there have no idea, but it's just what goes through my mind every time that guy is on the pitch and they're facing Przybylko. I just think, Sergeant Bilko? That's just what goes through my mind as an older guy that grew up watching the reruns, obviously, not the live show of it, but the reruns of that. Anyway, let's see. DJ is asking what's the latest on X. No, nobody knows anything, bro, until camp starts, and we'll see if he's there, and we'll see what he does, and we'll find out. I'm not worried about it. Yes, David chimes in the Phil Silvers show. Nice. There you go. Would like X to be traded to Dallas for a first rounder and call it a day. Trade X for Chandler Jones. I'll make up the difference between Igbenogany. Yeah, I don't think they're going to do that either. I don't think they're going to trade X for Chandler Jones, who wants a long-term contract at this point. But I just want to fill you in a little bit on the Chandler Jones thing. And I know he has 61 sacks in 69 games, I think it is. And I made some notes here. And he made last year $15 million, but he played only 5 games. So now he wants to hold out and not play the final year of his contract because he doesn't have a new deal. But wait a minute, dude, you were injured last year. You missed most of the season. And so now that you missed most of the season and got paid for a whole season, okay, now you're coming back this year so you can hold out and demand a trade or whatever because you don't have a new contract. So you want the team to assume all responsibilities and you assume no responsibilities. So the team sees you come back from an injury last year. Maybe they say, hey, let's wait a year, see what he does. And if he's healthy, then maybe we could sign him to a long-term contract. But if he's not, then we can let him go. So, it's kind of funny. I love how sometimes these players want the team to assume all the liability, all the risk whatsoever. It's kind of like the X thing. The Chandler Jones and X thing really remind me a lot. So wait a minute. They gave you a new deal. On the year they gave you a new deal, you went and beat up your girlfriend, fiance, whatever the hell it is, allegedly. And then you also suffered a knee injury and you were out all the whole year. So you either embarrassed the team with a crime, allegedly, and you also had the knee injury. And then you get your contract and you have your one great season and now you want more money. Just like, really? Okay. So the team shouldn't sit back and wait a couple of years of you playing without another knee surgery, playing maybe a couple of years without a domestic issue, those kind of things. Nah, screw that. Let the Dolphins, they've got to carry the whole burden. They've got to take all the risk. But wait a minute. Didn't they give you a signing bonus already? Don't you have $12 million guaranteed this year? I mean, what? Are you crying poor all of a sudden? Is that what's going on? It just, to me, I just find this absolutely hilarious how it's such a one-sided deal at times. And look, sometimes it's the flip side. Sometimes it's a one-sided deal for the team. I get that. But I root for the colors. I root for the logo. Not necessarily that ugly logo they have now. I still imagine the old logo in my mind as I digress here. But, I'm just saying, it's just funny how you guys need to assume all responsibility, not us. That's just, it's so weird, man. I just trip out on that. Oh, anyway. Well, as the shirt says, this is the way. As the Mandalorian would say, this is the way. What are you going to do? Big O, did you hear that Jakeem Grant got sponsored by Butterfingers? I heard. It was fantastic. And he's going to have Bart Simpson actually return kicks this year instead of him. So it'll be hard to tackle him because he's a cartoon. Everybody will go right through him. So I guarantee the Dolphins will score on every special teams kickoff this year, thanks to Bart Simpson taking over for Jakeem Grant, while Jakeem will be on the sideline eating a Butterfinger in the process. So that's probably what's going to end up happening. All right, so we got a lot of things to talk about today on the show. We'll await Omar Kelly, and as we get ready for Omar Kelly, I want to get into something on the football side with Tua, and I'm a little tired of the lazy takes. Okay, and throughout this whole Tua process, my Lord, man, it's one lazy take after another, and it happens because I think people they hear someone else say it, and then all of a sudden, and sometimes it's a reporter or a writer or somebody, and then they take it as gospel and then they run with it, right? And there's been a terrible adjective that people have used to describe something that Tua needs to do. And that's the word aggressive. That's the word that I've heard. And Omar, by the way, tells us he will join us at 10:30. So aggressive is the word that I've heard. And let me tell you something, that word is as bogus as it gets. Tua is the guy that played at Alabama. Tua is the guy that played in the SEC. Tua is the guy that came off the bench and saved Alabama's ass. Tua doesn't need to be aggressive. And here's where people, I think, have not deciphered what the quarterback position is and who Tua is in the process. Tua's a really smart kid. He understands the responsibility of being a quarterback and a leader, not just on the field, but off the field, in the locker room, on the street. He represents his team and his teammates and his community in the highest standard possible. Okay, we're talking, Russell Wilson like, we're talking, Tim Duncan like, we're talking Cal Ripken, we're talking Derek Jeter, we're talking, that's this dude, right? He's one of those dudes, those impeccable dudes that we've had in the history of time. It's not just sports and life too and all that. He's that dude. And so he's very conscious of everything, and everything he says, he understands how much it impacts. That's why he will talk about his team. He will talk about his teammates. He won't individually call someone out, never negatively, but even just positively, because then he leaves others out. He wants to credit everybody. He's very conscious of all of that. And that's what he is also on the field. It's not a lack of aggressiveness. He wants to be aggressive. He will be aggressive, but he's also smart. And that's the difference between your regular rookie at times who comes in, doesn't really know the offense as well, not really in sync, and then starts flinging the ball all over the place. And guess what happens? They're called turnovers. They're called interceptions. They're called mistakes. And again, we're talking about somebody that that understands his responsibility, right? And so this guy's been in pressure games. This guy knows what he needs to do. But here's the problem. When you're not comfortable and when you're not knowledgeable enough about what's going on, you're not adjusted to everything going on at this level as a rookie quarterback, that will lead to a bunch of mistakes. So instead of making the mistakes, he stayed in a conservative mode as he learns and as he gets comfortable. And you're going to watch this season, because he's had the whole offseason. Now he's going to have a training camp. Now he's going to have a preseason. He's going to have individual workouts now against two other teams during this preseason. By the time the regular season rolls around, you are going to see a completely different Tua than you did last year. You won't recognize him physically. You won't recognize him athletically either. Why? Because he will be that quarterback that a lot of people want. But you cannot be aggressive without knowledge. You can't be aggressive without being comfortable and adjusted to the game speed and all those things. And once he gets adjusted to it, then he becomes much more aggressive in the process. It's not a matter that he needs to be aggressive. I don't want him to be aggressive if he's not comfortable, because that's going to lead to mistakes. And he's a heck of a lot smarter than I am to know that he doesn't need to do that right now. So he stayed within the offense. He stayed within what he could see the talent developing, and he tried to make the plays that he could make, the ones he felt comfortable with. This year, you're going to see an adjusted quarterback now. The offense is built for him. The coaches are there to take care of him and cater to his offense. Charlie Fry is there to work with him because he knows him as a quarterback, and he's a former quarterback. And you've gotten the weapons. All of these things have changed for Tua from last year. So this year, you're going to see a different Tua. It's not that he's going to be more aggressive, is that he's going to end up being more comfortable, adjusted, and he's going to actually have knowledge of everything going on. When you have those things, then you can be aggressive and be successful. If you don't have those things, you go out there and be aggressive, and you're going to end up failing. So the word aggressive is the wrong word to use for Tua. What Tua needs is experience. What he needs to do is adjust to the game speed. Once he does that, everything will end up settling in. I guarantee you that. All right. We're going to, as I promised you, we're going to talk a little Miami Dolphins football and our EJDconstruction.com Miami Dolphins report. Omar Kelly, always kind enough to join us here and ready to go. Did you take your COVID test already?
Yes, I did. Hopefully I passed. No guarantees.
All right. So what kind of test do they give you? Is it a swabby?
Okay. No swab.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Because that Delta variant, bro, that thing is that thing is nasty. Well, you should know, right? Your wife is probably telling you, stay away from people, please.
There's another one too. Also, my wife is telling me, please wear my mask, even though she's at a hospital with running into people all the time. But yeah, my daughter's sick.
Yeah, but she's wearing her mask.
Yes, she is wearing her mask. Yeah. So yeah. Let me
tell you something. Sunday, I'm going to my first concert in, I don't know, a year and a half now. It's been, I think February was my last concert. So about a year and 5 months or whatever. And I'm in the pit, dude. I'm masking, and I'm vaccinated. I'm masking.
I don't know if I'm that, and you know I love concerts. I don't know if I'm that committed to it. I don't know. I don't know how I feel. I have gone out to like clubs and lounges and spots like that, and I feel so uncomfortable. It's going to take me a minute to get comfortable again, being around people. Like right. I remember I was at Brick House, which is this like club lounge like area in Wynwood, and this guy started coughing, and immediately I'm like coughing in my area, like they quarantined me, like nobody's around me. Guy started coughing in my area. I was like, all right, time to go.
Right. Yeah, the paranoia sets in, dude. In today's world, it is what. Even if you're vaccinated, you don't want to catch it just because you know. And plus, the chances. How about if you spread it to somebody that isn't vaccinated, and then you feel like crap? You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things, and you don't really. Not that it's going to put you in the hospital or on a ventilator, but you could go through some. You know, you could be uncomfortable, let's say, for the next week or two.
I honestly thought I had COVID 2 weeks ago, and I actually took a test, and I was quite surprised I didn't have it. Because I had a flu, and this was one of the worst flus that I had for a while, and it lingered, and I was tired, and it just drained my energy. And then I took the test, and I realized I didn't have it. And it was a relief. I don't know what outside of losing taste and smell. I don't know outside of the common flu, what are the symptoms that you're having? And a lot of people aren't having symptoms.
Right. Well, yeah. Apparently, this is a little drier of a variant that you don't really cough as much. You don't sneeze. It just hits you all of it. Apparently, it attacks your lungs right away, is what it does. Whereas the other one started in your nasal cavities and all that stuff. This one actually goes right into your lungs and immediately starts to affect how you breathe. This one's stronger, dude. This one's worse.
And the funny thing is, there's another one that's out there outside of the Delta variant. There's another one out there. I don't remember what the variant is, and it's just this is going to be around for a while, man. And it's going to be like you're going to have to, just like you're supposed to get the flu vaccine, you got to get a COVID vaccine every year.
Dude, it took decades to get rid of polio with a vaccine. With the vaccine. That's why we keep telling people vaccinate your ass, because that way we can kill this thing and get herd immunity. But as long as you have the people that aren't vaccinated, they are so susceptible to it. And Lord, man, 99.8% of the people that are hospitalized right now are all the people unvaccinated. It's come on, man, vaccinate so we can kill this thing off. Even with a vaccine, it's going to take us a while to wipe out. See, the problem is we have this microwave society. One, they think, you have people that I ran into it on Twitter. We have people that think that because this vaccine's not 100%, they don't want to take it. They don't realize that medicine has never come up with a vaccine that's 100%. It doesn't exist. Every vaccine has had a percentage that it doesn't work for some people. That's just the way it is. But our best defense is this, vaccine. It's what we have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So do you expect the 20% in the NFL to get ridiculed, to get pressured? There will be peer pressure too. Obviously, there's going to be financial pressure on their own because they've got to make money. And also some guys may end up costing their team a game. And you and I know that a game in the NFL is absolutely enormous. Any chance of that happening?
I don't think so, but there's so much discrepancy. And we touched on this last time we had a conversation about this. Mm-hmm. I don't know why the NFL isn't testing every day. It's not like people who don't get vaccines aren't catching COVID,
right?
And aren't spreading COVID. You know that's what's happening. There's so much hypocrisy about what the NFL is doing and what they're trying to. It's really just a scare tactic, as is everything. If you don't want the vaccine, don't get the vaccine. People say, oh, well, if I had COVID, I should have the antibodies already. And technically that's accurate. So, what's right and what's wrong, I think history is going to reflect that. If you're absolutely committed against getting the vaccine, more power to you. Best of luck to you. I hope you don't have children in school because it's a downhill slope for you. But yeah, it's gonna be it's gonna be. I mean, they made it through a whole NFL season last year without a vaccine, so I think it'll be a little bit easier this year.
All right, so this is the week. Are you expecting X to report? Are you expecting X to take the field and practice with his team? Or are you expecting a fine? Or are you expecting, fine every day because he's absent? Or are you expecting him to report but not practice and stand on the sidelines so he has his ass covered because he reported, but he's not practicing because he doesn't want to put himself at any kind of risk? Which one of the three?
I think X is going to report. It's $50,000 a day. The first week is basically going to cost him $250,000, which is a large portion of his salary. So I don't think he's not going to report.
Kind of money you and I would love to see, bro.
Yeah, I mean, and mind you, they don't even get paid for training camp. They do get paid for training camp, but
come on, bro. They get like $900 a week. Come on, bro.
1,000. It's like 1,000 and something. Yeah, I'm sorry. My bad. My apologies.
They got gas. They get gas money for the week, bro.
Hey, listen, for those guys who are just lucky to be in a training camp.
Oh no,
they're appreciative. I just got tested out there now, and there's a guy holding out a sign for a tryout, and that's just a rite of passage every year. A guy, the 90 on that practice field, there are guys that dream for that opportunity. So let me not poo-poo their $1,600 a week for training camp pay. Hey, listen, X is going to show up. X is going to be a good soldier. X is going to kind of do what he's asked to do. I think if X starts to feel any kind of issues, he's probably going to shut it down and rehab. But I don't have any doubt that X will be ready for the regular season.
Okay, so now you just crossed something very interesting. So if you say you feel something and you need rehab, then you say, well, we can't renegotiate with somebody that's injured. You know what I mean? So it's
everybody gets.
That's I know, but that's kind of. But if you're going to want more money, you're going to have to play the healthy line, not the unhealthy line. That's all I'm saying. I don't know if you can get away with that one. You know what I'm saying?
I don't disagree with you. You're making $12 million this year, $12 million next year, $12 million a year after that. Unhealthy players don't make $12 million, so X is going to have to be healthy and perform. As we've gone back and forth, I understand this whole thing from every single angle. You know where I stand. I don't like the fact that you're pissing off your best player on your team. I don't like the fact that you're allegedly shopping your best player on your team. Let's just figure out a way to make it work. And to me, the way you make it work is with more guaranteed money. If you want to wait till midway through the year and see how he performs, see if he stays healthy, okay. Ultimately, if X's paycheck is fatter, I think he'll be happy.
Let me ask you something. Nothing to do with the Dolphins. On the side here, are you shocked that the NFL is not doing anything in Houston with 22 civil cases? I would imagine that the NFL would have stepped in and say, hey, Deshaun, we're going to put you on the commissioner's exempt list. That way everybody's ass is covered, because it looks pretty bad. If he reports to camp, then you have the media stuff and everybody's all over this. And if any of these reports are true, that the Texans are, taking calls, all of this is a bad look for the NFL. Why not, if you're the NFL, step in, put the young man on the commissioner's list to protect everybody and say, hey, once the legal issues are done, then Watson and the Texans can move on with their business, and so can the NFL. But let's allow the legal process to take place and not make it look like we are completely dismissing everything that's going on. And yes, business as usual. It looks insensitive. It looks, wrong, I think, in my eyes. Are you a little freaked out that the NFL hasn't really stepped in here?
I'm surprised, not freaked out. I firmly believe in innocent until proven guilty.
That has nothing to do with that. You know what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about.
I don't agree or support the NFL's policy of guilty until proven innocent. I don't. No.
This is not guilty until proven innocent. This is private business protecting its ass until proven innocent completely. That's what they're doing, Omar. And that's what you would do too if you owned a corporation too. You got to put this aside and say, all right, guys, listen, you're innocent until proven guilty. But for now, for all parties involved, let's wait till the legal process is done, so that way we can all go about our business professionally in the right way and set the right example. I don't know if this sets the right example.
I don't know if I support that from this standpoint. In order for the legal process to play itself out, it could take years. Like look at Antonio Brown's situation for the legal process to play itself out. It took probably a year and a half. And I'm not saying anybody's right, anybody's wrong. I believe in innocent until proven guilty in all situations, all cases. And even as bad as it might look for Deshaun Watson, and it certainly looks bad, he is innocent until proven guilty. And what now the question is, if this was a not civil suit and people put the police made an arrest, people put charges on him, I think that's a whole different ballgame. But the fact that this is a civil suit, which means it's about money, makes me very uncomfortable about the whole situation, the whole dynamic, the whole realm. I'm sure the lawyer of the 22 civil suit cases is going to come out and say something else and garner attention. And it's just a very uncomfortable situation. Now, will it be uncomfortable for Deshaun Watson? Yes. Will he have to deal with it and talk about it? Probably. Will it be uncomfortable for the Texans? Yes. But the whole situation has been uncomfortable for the Texans. Will they have to deal with it? Probably. I just feel more comfortable when people let the legal process take its course as opposed to levying actions and punishments before the legal process does its thing.
Omar Kelly, of course, joining us here, as you can see, for the EJDconstruction.com Miami Dolphins report. He stops by every Monday and Fridays. And, our times will be adjusted sometimes because of things that are going on in his life with training camp, but we will adjust and we will get it done. And you will see him with us every week here on the program. Omar, are there any injury concerns for the Dolphins to start training camp that we know of?
Yeah, obviously we got to keep an eye on the wide receiver. Damn it, why do I not remember his name?
Oh, Preston? You mean Preston?
Yeah, Preston Williams. Yeah, Preston Williams. We got to keep an eye on Jesse Davis. There was something going on with Jesse from I think a knee standpoint. I'm just speculating. At the end of the OTAs, he did not participate in conditioning drills. He's been wearing a knee brace all of OTAs. I would speculate that he probably had that cleaned out during the break and maybe might be working his way back. There was the shoulder with Mike Gesicki. There was Vince Beagle had some issue that was lingering. I'm sure there'll be guys that are guys who don't pass the conditions. I saw Solomon Kinley today, looks around 340, doesn't look completely out of shape. It'll be interesting to see who's ready to go when training camp opens.
When you look at the Will Fuller, the 5th edition, what do you envision with him? Because this is a guy that could really just change the dynamics of this team and really help the development of Jalen Waddle.
I never thought about him helping the development of Jalen Waddle. I think
two speed guys, bro. I mean, he's going to be able to learn some tricks of the trade from that young man on how to take advantage of these slower fools.
Maybe Waddle could teach him a thing or two. I mean, let's not pretend like Waddle wasn't on the field with 4 first-round picks and wasn't the fastest guy on the field.
Yeah, I know, but Will Fuller's proven at the highest levels. I'm just saying. He's played against the best quarters in the NFL. You would figure that this guy could teach him something. But what are you expecting?
You better pause that a little bit, because I could tell you, I've been here doing this 13 years. And the guys who teach at wide receiver, very small list. Very, very small list. That's just that position where they're out for themselves. So Albert Wilson, I would say, is a guy who's taught, who's mentored. Outside of that, I couldn't tell you. Brian Hartline. But yeah, the guys who share as wide receivers, teach, mentor, small list. OJ
Brian Hartline, the Brian Hartline, the best recruiter in college football right now.
Is he the best recruiter? I know he's one hell of a coach.
You know that? Did you know that? Apparently he's killing it with Ohio State, dude. Like killing it. Like,
yeah.
I just read an article the other day on how he is just smoking fools left and right, turning players over from the committed to other teams and bringing them to Ohio State. Like supposedly he's like a badass recruiter. And if you got to know Brian, he had a personality. So
yeah,
that kind of makes sense, actually, that he could walk into a living room and win mommy and dad or whoever mentor over, whoever it is that is leading the kid, obviously.
He was going to be a star on the college level. I wish he was coaching Miami's receivers here. I think he's going to be a very good coach for years to come. Some guys just have that intangible, that leadership trait. Michael Thomas was that kind of guy too. He's still looking for work. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with Brian. I think he's going to be a star no matter what on any level. But yeah, getting back to the top, I can tell you, even going back to Brandon Marshall, Brandon wasn't about teaching guys. It just doesn't, now he is.
Well, wait a minute. That's not true, because he threw a football at Vontae's head for coming in inebriated.
Oh, so, that was. It's not about.
He was trying to teach him a lesson there.
Great era. That was the Matt Moore Dolphins. The 0-6 or 0-7 start. Yeah, that they got their first win after that too. Remember that? After that incident.
All right. So, but in the end, this Waddle Fuller connection should change the entire dynamics of this offense because they did not possess this last year. And that's going to change how secondaries treat this team. And it's going to freak linebackers out because they're going to have a lot more responsibilities underneath, worrying about Gesicki, worrying about some other things at times, running backs coming out of the backfield, because you've got those two guys that are going to be able to keep those deep corners and safeties extremely busy.
Absolutely, no question about it. Fuller and Waddle should change the way this team plays, and not just them, but Lynn Bowden Jr. They've got an arsenal of weaponry where there is nothing that they're missing, and in fact, they've got two of everything. So I would say the only thing that they're missing from a weaponry standpoint is probably a power back. And you could argue that Malcolm Brown and Jared Dokes are those power backs. We have to see it before we can actually say it's reality. But yeah, they've got every single. I would argue, and I definitely want your listeners, like, name me a better Dolphins receiving core from top to bottom than this unit. I could tell you. We probably.
We have to go back to Clayton Duper, Durio Harris. That combination,
Nat Moore.
Saffold, Nat Moore, that five group, that was a pretty awesome freaking group. You have to go way back to that era in order to compare it to this right now. Because I love the Chambers, but it wasn't a deep group. Because I'm a Chambers fan. But
number 2 is Oronde Gadsden.
Yeah,
probably be a tight end in today's NFL.
Yeah. He could be a receiver too because you can't stop him. You just can't stop his big ass. He bodies you, and then he has those ginormous hands that you're just not going to take it away, bro. I mean, that's the thing about Oronde. He was slow as molasses, but he didn't need the speed because he knew once you were on his hip, you were done, bro. You were done because body control is something special in a wide receiver. Not everybody has it. This is why Deshaun Hopkins, what is it? Hopkins? Deshaun Hopkins, right? It is Deshaun Hopkins, right?
Yeah.
This is why it's not just because he has
DeAndre.
hands. DeAndre. It's not just because he has hands and athleticism. His body control is sick, dude. When you're able to understand how to work that in the air to your advantage, you're done, bro. You're done. And it doesn't matter what DB you are. The other guy's going to beat you because he's better than you in the air. And that's what Oronde Gadsden had, that once he got up in the air, he always positioned himself between you and the football, and you weren't going to get it. So that's the only reason why I think he could still play wide receiver, because his body control was just absolutely sick. That's it. Have you been to the Hall of Fame and you saw his picture against the Raiders?
I've been to the Hall of Fame. I don't know if I've seen his picture against the Raiders. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's the one-handed one that he's like, grabbing it, like he catches the ball like this in the middle of the field. That picture is there in the Hall of Fame with the gloves, actually, that he used to make that catch. That's how legendary that catch is, that it made it to the Hall. All right. So I asked you last week on Friday what you were looking forward to the most. Which is the battle you're looking forward to the most in camp? Which is the battle you think is the best that Dolphins need to focus in on? What 2 or 3 guys are battling for one spot?
Matt Skora, Michael Dieter, Cameron Tom for the center battle. I think the 5th wide receiver battle is going to be a pretty good one in terms of who is it? Albert Wilson? Is it Jakeem Grant? Is it why am I drawing a blank on receiver names today? Is it Malcolm Perry? Is it going to be Mac Hollins? Is it going to be the new guy, Robert Foster? I couldn't even tell you how to call that one. I think the inline tight end, can anyone challenge Durham Smythe for his status on that job? Adam Shaheen, the new guy, Siethan Carter, Hunter Long, the draftee, and then the nickel quarterback spot. I'm a Nick Needham superstar fan. They continue to try to, the odds are always stacked against superstar. and somehow he always rises to the top and perseveres. He'll probably begin training camp like third on the third team unit and work his way. And that's what he did last year. Third
Right.
team unit, afterthought, work his way right back up to the first team unit. But Justin Coleman is no slouch. I think you got Jason McCourty. Jason McCourty's in the mix there. But Nick Needham, man, those are the guys that I always respect. The Nick Needhams, the Myles Gaskin, the guy, the Jesse Davises, the guys who nothing is ever given to them, but they take what they keep what they kill. To quote Riddick, they kill it in training camp and they keep their jobs, they keep their responsibilities because you know what, they just get it done.
Looking forward to it. What do you got going on the Sun Sentinel so folks can check you out, my friend?
I have a column up right now. Just went up this morning about second-year expectations for Tua Tagovailoa. Reasonable expectations in terms of numbers, wins. What should we really expect from him? And I make the argument we were patient for. We gave Ryan Tannehill 7 years. We gave Chad Henne 3 years. Why can't we give Tua 30 starts?
Yeah, I'm with you there. Definitely. Got to give him some time, dude. All right, we will catch up with you on Friday. We'll get your first assessment of what you've seen the first couple of days in camp. Remember to follow him on Twitter at Omar Kelly. Oh, as always, you're a stud. Thank you for taking some time.
No problem.
You got it. EJD Construction. Make sure you call them 305-433-4843.
You've been listening to the EJDconstruction.com Miami Dolphins Report with Omar Kelly. For additions, home remodeling, or custom work, call Eric at 305-433-4843. EJDconstruction.com is the custom home builder and general contractor you can trust. 305-433-4843.
We thank Omar Kelly for joining us. In the next hour, David Dwork is set to join us. I know, who is it there? Matthew Owen says, Big O, talk about the great job Zito has done with our Panthers. We will, Matthew. We will in hour number 2 at 11:30. David Dwork will join us. They just signed a defenseman, by the way, as we were, as Omar and I were talking. Lucas Carlson has just signed with the Panthers a 1-year deal. So there you go. They add another, which of course Zito just continues to work it, baby. You got to love what he's doing. Zito has turned this thing around. What I love about Zito is that he actually understood what the hell was wrong with this team and fixed it. You know, something that Dale Talon could never do is figure out what the hell is going on with this team. Zito has done that. So we will talk with David Dwork about that at 11:30. Now, we have some breaking news. The University of Oklahoma and the University of Texas of Austin has notified the Big 12 Athletic Conference today that they will not be renewing their grants of media rights following expiration in 2025, providing notice to the Big 12 that at this point, it's important in advance of the expiration of the conference current media rights agreement that the universities intend to honor their existing grants of rights of agreement. However, both universities will continue to monitor the rapidly evolving collegiate athletic landscape as they consider how to best to position their athletics programs for the future. In other words, get ready. We're leaving. We're out of here. Okay. So there you go. All right. I don't know what the hell's going to end up happening, but it looks like they are going to be leaving the Big 12 when it's all said and done. Okay? It's all money, man. All money, baby. All money. So that's all it is. But what are you going to do? And let me tell you, I mean, if you're going to make money, you go to the SEC. They are the top conference out there. They print money in that damn conference. They're the NFL of college football. Call of Duty says, I missed Omar already. Well, but Call of Duty, you can rewind. It's YouTube. You know what I mean? Plus, we will podcast it all like we normally do. So don't worry about it. Everything will be there for you guys. So even if you miss it, we will podcast it. Eventually, we are going to, expand to the point where we have somebody do the video side of it too. So you can actually catch up either video or audio. Right now, it's more audio. The video, the only thing we're posting right now is the full show. But eventually, we will be breaking that down too when it's all said and done. Antonio says, well, not back in 83. The receiving core the Dolphins had early with Fryer, Keith Jackson, receiving core was very good. Yeah, but it's not better than the Marx Brothers. It's not better than the Marx Brothers with Nat Moore and Dorio Harris and Jimmy Cephalo. That was a pretty damn good receiving core, dude. That was a really, 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 really good receiving core. Two dudes that should be in the Hall of Fame. Let's see, what else do we have? X might be traded before camp gets serious. He's already photoshopping in a Cowboys uniform. Zeke for X. I'm just dreaming. Well, not only that, Isais, you would trade X for Zeke? Really? Dude, I'm glad you're not the GM, Isais. Love you. Thank you for supporting the show, but I'm not trading X for a running back, bro. Sorry. And especially a knuckleheaded running back. I don't care how talented Zeke is, dude. I want no part of Zeke on this team. Can you have Zeke in South Beach? No, dude. No. Get X for picks. Okay, I don't want any players. I don't want Chandler Jones, and I don't want Zeke. I don't want any of that stuff. Get me picks. That's what I want. If you're going to trade X, get picks. That's what you do. Get young guys so you can get them cheap in the first 4 to 5 years, and you can kind of, really manage your cap. Don't go get Chandler Jones, who is already at the, pinnacle of his career at the moment, and he wants a big-ass deal on top of all of that to then create more issues. And Zeke Elliott, that's one dude I don't trust. Don't forget the original 3-down back, Tony Nathan. Exactly. You're right. I might be able to sprinkle in a little Jim Jensen in that time too, right? That sumbitch was tough and clutch, man. God, I love Jim Jensen. That was fun to watch, man. Jim Jensen, that was a man's man right there. That was just a tough dude. That was a real, exceptional teammate and a guy that got it. You're not making it as a quarterback. Okay. All right. Well, I want to play. Coach, get me in there. I don't care if I have to be a tight end, a fullback, an H-back. Call me whatever the hell you want. I'll catch whatever you need. I'll convert any first down you want. I'll take shots. I mean, Jensen was absolutely awesome. Great Fear says, what up, O? You bring up a great point. Why don't you think Clayton and Duper aren't in the Hall of Fame, or at least more seriously considered? Cocaine. One word. Cocaine. That's it. It's like that in the incidents that they had a couple decades back. That's it. Everybody else gets 4 billion chances. Others make it to the Hall of Fame, even with shady pasts at times. And these guys just get crapped on because of their screw up. And it wasn't like 14 screw ups. It wasn't like this was happening all the time. No, they had their incident and it was done. And yet somehow or another, they're burned forever, bro. And they have Hall of Fame numbers. I don't get it, man. It's Ferguson Jenkins, right? Wasn't he like a cokehead? And he made it into the Baseball Hall of Fame. There have been other guys that have had some, issues, right? And yet they overlook them, or, hey, we're all human beings. Okay. I'm not condoning, but crap happens, man. Okay. None of us are perfect. We're going to make mistakes. They made their mistake. But on the field as football players, those two guys were Hall of Famers. That one I can never explain the Marx brothers not being in the Hall of Fame. They have better numbers than a bunch of receivers that are in the Hall of Fame. And you know what's the other thing? They didn't win a championship. So that's why they don't get that kind of love either, I guess. And that's what hurts some of those teams, because there were some players there that you would look at and you say, those are Hall of Fame players. But, Marino's the only guy that gets it. And there were others that deserve that nod too. And the Marx brothers are those guys, man. I feel terrible for the Marx brothers that they're not in there. But it just seems to me like the one mistake that they made was one too many, apparently. Jim Jensen, original Swiss Army knife, Big O, one of my favorite all-time Dolphin players. Anybody that watched Jim Jensen play, he will be one of your favorite players. Any Dolphin fan that lived that era, they love Jim Jensen. That's a law. It's not by accident. I'm not guessing. I'm telling you. The love that Jim Jensen has from classic Dolphin fans it will be endless love. Okay? Because the guy sold out. The guy did everything to help your team win. You always felt better when that guy was on the field. And the real bitch of that whole thing was when it was third down, you knew he was getting the ball. And he still got the ball. It was awesome. It was fantastic. You knew it, man. You knew they had to go to Jensen to convert that third down. And the defense knew that it was coming. And yet Marino and him were still going to hook up, and we're still going to get that first down no matter what. Beautiful thing, man. It was so beautiful to watch back in the day. But that's now that we have this going on, that's the other beauty of all of this, is that we're going to have the kind of Dolphin football that we've wanted for a long, long time back. It's coming now. All right, let's begin our numero dos.
Starting in August, longtime Miami Heat insider Ira Winderman joins the Big O Radio Show. Ira will give insight twice a week on your favorite NBA team. Heat fans get the information you crave from one of the best in the business. From weekly appearances to breaking news, join Ira Winderman exclusively on the Big O Show. Found on most platforms.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchased with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke.
Oh, what happened there? Damn it.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchased with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
The viewpoint, statements, or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. When it comes to South Florida sports teams, very few in the media have witnessed, lived, and covered it like the Big O. Let's start the program dedicated to your favorite South Florida teams with a passion that's unmatched. The Big O Radio Show is on. Here's the Big O.
All righty, we are officially starting out our number 2 of the program. Appreciate all of you, as always, keeping it locked. Remember, you can lock it in on the YouTube chat board. Send in any questions, comments, insults, whatever you have for us. Make sure you smash the hell out of that like button, man. Really need you to smash the hell out of that like button, por favor. That really helps us out. Subscribe to the program. Share the link with folks, whether it's the podcast, whether you're watching on YouTube, you name it. And, of course, Cash App and Venmo, another great way to support our program and help us grow. So you can make your donation there at Cash App and Venmo. Cash Big O Show is the address. That's Cash Big O Show. If you want to reach out to us, Cash App and Venmo, Cash Big O Show. Love it. Danielle Marquez says, starting earlier? I just tuned in and you've been on for an hour. Yes, we are now starting earlier every day now. Told you, I warned you guys that the show's going to start expanding. This Wednesday, we'll start Inside the Paint at 10 a.m. with Ira Winderman and Clay Ferraro. So I figured we start doing the show a little earlier. Omar needed to go a little earlier, so we moved him to 10:30. David Dwork will be on today at 11:30. And then Michelle Kaufman will be on at 12:30. So we're looking at like a 3-hour program today. And we got lots of things to talk about. So appreciate all of you out there as always. Thank you all for supporting us. And we thank Omar Kelly and his thoughts. And yes, you missed Omar, but you didn't miss Omar because you said I've been on for an hour, right? So rewind. There you go. Can't you rewind when you log on to YouTube already? It's been on for an hour. You can back up for a half hour. He joined us at 10:30, or you can tune into the podcast later and it'll be podcasted and you'll be able to get Omar and listen to that conversation. And next week, remember, Kyle Krabs will join us. It'll be at 11:30 on Wednesdays. Kyle Krabs will be with us. So Wednesdays you get Ira. Well, and remember this Wednesday I start at 9:30. Because I'm going to warm it up a little bit, warm up the seat before Ira and Clay take over. So I'll be on for half an hour on Wednesday, starting off at 9:30. Okay. But pretty much every day, we're going to try to start off right around 10 a.m. Okay. That'll be kind of the new start time for the show as we try to work everything in and get all the different elements that we want to add to the show. And we appreciate all of you out there, as always, for taking care of us and supporting us in many, 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 many ways. Let's see. All right. What else do we have here that I wanted to talk about here? Donnie Urig. Thank you, sir. Donnie, coming in on a little Venmo. Thank you, sir. Daniel Florentine. Thank you also for chiming in on a little Venmo. And Devin Jordan. So thank you. Appreciate all of you chiming in on the Venmo and Cash App, whether it was over the weekend or today, which I saw Donnie do it right now. So thank you, Donnie. Very kind of you, but I had the notes for the other guys. Miami Kid J says Zach Thomas not being in the hall is a travesty. Yeah. Hopefully he makes it. He's still not out yet. I mean, let's like the Marx Brothers. I don't know if they'll ever make it unless some kind of veterans committee wants to put them in, but I don't think they'll ever make it. Good morning, guys. You see the Photoshop of X in a cowboy uniform. Yes, it's really nice. It's par for the course, dude. Stir it up and see if you can get yourself out of here when it's all said and done. If they want to give up a bunch of picks, that's a good team to pick too, because that they'll flop. So that's the beauty of the Cowboys. That's one of those teams for sure, dude. And they've got that goofball also as a head coach, who clearly doesn't have a control of that locker room, because of course, while you have Jerry there, it is what it is. All right. So we talked a little bit about Tua on the program. We talked a little bit to Omar Kelly. The other thing that I want to talk about locally that happened yesterday, Marlins, nice job picking up the Saturday and Sunday wins to split the 4-game set against San Diego. That was nice yesterday, the 9-3 win. And Starling Marte is going to get traded. But when you look at what happened with Devin Marrero, who went 3 of 4, had 3 runs, had the solo home run, and then Lewis Brinson had that shot yesterday. He had a catch also where he had to run a lot, had that 3-run homer in the 6th inning. I'm happy for Lewis Brinson, man. Lately, Lewis Brinson has looked better. I don't know if he's turned the corner. I don't know if he's found his stroke, but that's pretty cool to see. Lewis Brinson. I'm happy for him. Marlins are off tonight. Tomorrow, they will take on the Orioles. So hopefully the boys can continue winning. Inter Miami, they end up tying Philadelphia. We will talk to Michelle Kaufman at in the third hour at 12:30. And let me tell you something before I go into a couple of other things, but I want to just to kind of shed a little light on Inter. Inter's issues, listen, they had a lot of chances yesterday. And unfortunately, Higuain has not been a really good closer. He's had his share of opportunities, and at first you can give him breaks, but then it gets old. And yesterday he had several opportunities and could not find a way to put the ball in the back of the net, and they're paying him a lot of money. Now, for Robbie Robinson, that was huge. He needed it for the confidence purposes, everything he went through last year, and now this year with the injuries and how they've mishandled the hamstring injury and all of that. And I'm sure it plays with him mentally that the last, his first 2 years in the league have been so tumultuous and so much crap going on, and some of it out of his control because it was the pandemic last year. But I still have to say in the 71st minute, it was nice to see him get that goal. And I know that, the goaltender didn't play great, but I don't care. Somehow or another, Robbie was able to score, but they just don't have enough. And that's really what stands out, that with that payroll, the kind of names you have on that team, they can't somehow develop the kind of chemistry that they need. Yesterday was a respectable outing by Inter, but they proved once again that offensively it's such a struggle for them that I don't know how you ever end up becoming a potent team if you're Inter Miami. And you have a 6-game losing streak and you snap it with a tie, unfortunately. And now on Saturday, you take on Montreal, the team that you're sharing the building with now because Montreal obviously playing there. But a game that wasn't spectacular, a game that you had your chances and you weren't able to capitalize. It's so unimpressive, unfortunately, for Inter Miami. That's what it is. It's unimpressive. And it's sad, man, because you're into year 2, and I don't know if there's a lot of hope for this team going into next season. It's going to take a couple of years for you to get out of this mess that, unfortunately, Paul McDonough started with this team. But, yesterday, I was happy that at least they tied because, another loss, Jesus, 7 in a row, it would be absolutely brutal. But on the flip side, I was frustrated that it's almost like pulling teeth to try to get a victory for this team. It's so difficult to get it because you're so mediocre. And considering you have the highest payroll in MLS, that is pretty sad to say. All right. The other thing that I wanted to talk about and get into a little bit, and I'm looking forward to our conversation tomorrow with Ira Winderman about USA basketball, but I do want to get into the USA basketball issue because they ended up losing to France. And Daryl Stewart, thank you, sir, sending in a little cash app. I appreciate you, sir. Thank you, Daryl Stewart. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Appreciate it big time, sending in a little cash app. Thank you, thank you. Cash Big O Show, you want to send it in on Venmo and Cash App. Thank you. All right, so USA basketball, they lose to France. And to me, what stood out in the 83-76 loss was the fact that you have way too many stars on the team. Now, let me explain some of the dynamics of what's gone on with USA basketball, and let me give you a big picture look because I think some of us are a little confused at what's going on with USA basketball and what really is wrong with USA basketball. Now, there were people that last week were telling me, hey, how come maybe USA basketball players don't take the Olympics that serious anymore and all that kind of stuff? First of all, let's answer that first part of the equation. It seems that players don't take this serious anymore because they don't take the competition nearly as serious anymore because they've won, and they've won a ton, right? Now, they haven't been playing as well lately, correct? Here's the issue. We all got, those of us that are older, okay, we all got kind of pissed off because for decades, we were watching grown men play against our young guys. And our young guys, I'm talking about college kids. When we used to send amateurs, actually, true amateurs, to the Olympics. And so in baseball, they were getting killed by 45-year-old Cuban men. Okay? We couldn't do anything about it. We sent our young guys, and it's 45-year-old Cuban men, and those guys have been playing their own pro baseball for 10, 15, 20 years, and they're mature, and their bodies are developed, and the Cuban team would dominate. Then in basketball, all of a sudden, Europe started to become better in basketball because basketball is the second biggest international sport. Soccer 1, basketball 2. The rest of the world has caught up. Not to the point that they're at the level of the Americans, but they've caught up to the point that they're competitive. So we kept sending our young guys, and they kept getting their asses kicked. So pros got pissed, and rules changed and all that. Pros started going to the Olympics, a.k.a. Dream Team, Redeem Team, all that kind of stuff that came out. Those teams came out, and they came out to kind of straighten out the record and say, yo, you guys aren't the best, and you're sending men take us on. And sure enough, they dogged them. Because at that point, you were still ahead of the world when it came to men versus men. But because the European men and Central and South American men had gotten better, they could beat our boys. So the whole jingoistic thing take over, and red, white, and blue, and yada, 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 and we're the best, and let's go prove it. And so we send our pros, and the pros go with dirty intentions. Like, we're going to bury your asses. We're going to send the message. But then you keep sending the message every year, and you're better, and you're better, and you're better, and you're better. Now we've gotten to the point where they've gotten bored again with it. And so now the difference is that Europe and South America, again, has taken another step and has gotten closer now to NBA players. And that's what you saw a little bit of yesterday. That if you don't have chemistry, but the other team that you're playing from Europe or Central America, South America, has chemistry, you may end up struggling because those guys have been playing together and they're pros. Fournier's a pro, and Gobert's a pro, and Batum is a pro, and all. So you've got pros. That other big guy that they had, I forgot his name. He looks pretty good too. So they've got guys that can play against the NBA guys. So now the real problem going on with USA basketball right now is you're fielding the wrong kind of team. You've got to do a little bit of what France was doing. Half your team can only be stars. You know what the other half needs to be? They need to be all-star like role players. Right. You got to bring Draymond Green over, bro. You got to bring Jimmy Butler over. Now, Jimmy didn't want to play. Okay, fine. PJ Tucker. Even though I got to say something, I'm a little against the NBA Finals guys being there. Because, God, you're putting all of those guys at risk. They went through a whole NBA season, the playoffs, and now they're going to play the Olympics. That's a lot of injury concern. I really don't want to see Booker there. I really don't want to see, was it Middleton, Drew Holiday? I'm not a fan of that. I'm really not. But, okay, if they're going to be there, then go get Patrick Beverley, bro. Sick Patrick Beverley on Fournier, right? You need role players. You need guys that are happy to guard, guys that are happy to assist, guys that are happy to set picks. If you're going to get whatever the roster is, 12, 14, 15, 16 stars, offensive stars, and I know they got Bam and Gobert there. I mean, not Gobert. What's the other big goofus that they have there that's pretty good defensively? I get that they have a couple of defensive guys, but they don't have enough. And that's where you need PJ Tucker. That's where you need Matisse Thybulle. You know, you need to go sacrifice and add the Caruso kid from the Lakers is another guy that you can add. You need to go get the guys that are happy being complimentary. I get it. They're not the best players in the world, but they're the best situated for what you need. Because all of a sudden now you're asking a bunch of stars to then check their game at the door, and I need you to become more of a guy that's setting a pick. I need you to become more of a defender and this and that. And those guys maybe don't want to commit to that. So bring the guys that naturally it comes to them, that naturally they love being that. Because Jimmy loves playing defense. They really could use a Jimmy Butler. Not that I want him there because he has enough wear and tear. No. Okay? Keep him away. But you get what I'm saying. PJ Tucker would be awesome. Miles Turner. You know who would help out? Ben Simmons. Believe it or not, Ben Simmons would help out. You don't need him to shoot. You need him to distribute and to play defense. You need guys that are willing to sacrifice on the other side of the ball, but those guys, it comes naturally to them. You got to, if you're USA Basketball, you got to check egos at the door. You got to tell basketball players, hey, guys, we're not necessarily picking 15 of the elite offensive players in the league anymore. We are now going to pick a balanced basketball team because that's what they're doing everywhere else in the world. And that's what you should be doing. That way, half your team are offensive stars, and that half actually can get in a groove. And your coach is not standing there on the sidelines going, oh, I got to give him a certain amount of minutes, and him a certain amount of minutes, and him a certain amount of minutes, and him a certain amount of minutes, because I'm carrying all these damn egos. And that's the problem right now for USA Basketball. They are not picking a balanced team. They are picking an unbalanced team that doesn't do enough on the other end. They need people that want to sell out on defense. Bro, this is their off season. They already played an entire season. Think, you're only a human being, dude. We're all human. It's human nature. You have worn your ass out for, 74 games this season, 82, whatever the hell it was. You've worn yourself out. Some of you have gone all the way through the playoffs. Some of you made it all the way to the NBA Finals. You think that by the time they get to this whole thing of USA Basketball, they want to sell out the way they need to sell out? No, dude. No. So that's why, okay, you want to play your offensive game? Great. We'll pick half the roster of offensive stars. The other half, I'm going to make sure I get guys that just want to be down and dirty, bro. They want to defend. They want to rebound. They want to assist. They want to set picks. They want to scramble for loose balls. They want to dive on the floor. That's the guys you need that have to be on the other half of that team. It's just my opinion, okay? When Bird and Magic and all those guys got together, they were so far ahead of the rest of the world that they didn't necessarily need people to sell out because they were so much better than them. But the guys now, almost 30 years later, they have a different challenge right now. Basketball internationally is at another level. It is much closer to the NBA than it's ever been. And because you have a whole bunch of guys that just played in an NBA season and they've already made their money and they're kind of worn out, it's hard to ask them all of a sudden to do things that role players do. So don't recruit whatever the hell the roster is, 12, 15 stars. Get half stars, and the other half are the guys that are bringing the lunch pail. You do that, and I'm almost guaranteeing you the results will be a gold medal, and let me tell you something, a gold medal that will be won pretty comfortably because you've brought balance to your team instead of an imbalance that now you're asking people to go do the things they never really do during the regular season as it is, because they have the PJ Tucker to do it. They have the Matthias Thibault to do it. They have the guys that are going to get down and dirty for you. D&D, baby. They need the down and dirty guys. That's the way they're going to win their gold. Nice and easy. We are awaiting David Dwork, by the way. He's going to join us here at the bottom of the hour. Oh, that's right. Ben Simmons is an Aussie. You're right about that. I forgot about that. But you know what I'm saying. You got to get defensive-minded players in there. You know what? Now you said that, what is Matisse Thybulle? I don't even know, because that's not a name that's American, right? So now that you mentioned that. But my point is, whatever it is, PJ Tucker, Jimmy Butler, you name it, you got to get defensive-minded players to be in the mix of that team. Guys that aren't worried about putting the ball in the bucket. They don't care. They don't live off of that. Those are the guys you need on that team to kind of complete it. But it's a good point on the Ben Simmons part. And now that you mentioned it, Thibault, I don't know what the hell he is. Actually, I'm going to have to look it up. He might be in the Olympics right now, and I didn't know. But that's the kind of player you need. That's what I mean. We should take our aqua color glasses off. Hall of Fame. Webb was good, but was never the best right tackle in the NFL. No, you're right, sir, because he played left tackle. Zach was never the best linebacker. He was good, but an overachiever. Okay, I mean, yeah, I get it. But first, you got to learn the positions. Kuchenberg deserves to be in the Hall of Fame more than any of those guys referenced above. I mean, it all depends on how you look at it, man. I think Zach deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Big O, they have a few NBA players with some Jags. We all have NBA players. They just don't care. That's my point, Tommy. That's why you need the guys that are blue collar. If half the guys are working and doing the dirty work, they will help the offensive players. They don't have those guys on that team right now. I know Bam is kind of like that guy, but still not. They need more than that, believe it or not. Let's see. Position on NFLPA should have nothing to do with Hall of Fame induction. At least U.S. soccer is getting better. Yes, they are. Yeah, because, our young guys have gotten better. Hey, everyone on here is watching needs to smash the like button. That's right, baby. Let's go. Smash that like button. Don Parlamento is right. Please smash that like button. Troy says, we really have only two superstars on Team USA, Durant and Dame. Yeah, I know. So Thibault is Aussie. Okay, there you go. See, because now you brought it up. I'm just thinking about defensive-minded players, but I had to think of defensive-minded American players. That was my bad with Thibault and with Simmons. Cooch turned his back on all NFL players. Nothing to do with his status as NFLPA. Cost the NFLPA leverage. Yeah, but that has nothing to do with his play. You know what I mean? Hey, look, man. I'm not a Bob Kuchenberg fan as a person. You know what I mean? I'm sorry. The guy had 3 DUIs. And that tells me that he had a hell of a lot more DUIs. Rest in peace and all that. But I'm not very forgiving when it comes to that stuff. Okay? One DUI can happen to any of us. It's never happened to me, but it could happen to me. It could happen to you. It could happen to anybody that we have a drink or two. We think we're fine. And we get pulled over and whatever, that one mistake, I give it to anybody, man, because we're all human beings. When you've got 3 DUIs, I wasn't very forgiving of Kuchenberg. Let me tell you, I'm just not, so as a person, he lost it with me because he was a guy that told me he didn't care about our community and was driving around a whole bunch of times as a death weapon. That's what he was, basically, because that's what you are if you're driving around drunk. Okay. And again, one time I can let it slide for anybody. He had 3 DUIs. I can't imagine how many times that man was behind the wheel and did get home, thank the Lord, and did not kill anybody. Because if you have 3 DUIs and that tells me you got a real problem and you must have been drunk behind the wheel a whole bunch of times. But having said all that, he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. I may not be fan of Kuchenberg, the person, but the football player deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. and so does Zach Thomas, and so do the Marks brothers. Okay, I would put those guys in the Hall of Fame with no problem whatsoever. If Dan Hampton can make it in the Hall of Fame, all of those guys deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. And Dan Hampton was a heck of a player. Don't get me wrong. I'm not dismissing his career by any stretch. But if he's good enough for the Hall of Fame, then Zach Thomas is more than good enough to be in the Hall of Fame. Mark Duper, Mark Clayton are more than good enough to be in the Hall of Fame. And Bob Kuechenberg, if you're going to put Dan Hampton in there, then you better put Bob Kuechenberg in the Hall of Fame. That's all I'm saying. That's kind of the way I look at it. And personally, I'm not the Kuechenberg guy. Okay? That guy just, lost it with me. Anyway, appreciate all of you as always, keeping it locked here on the program. So I those are my thoughts on USA basketball and the team. All right. Let's see. Waiting for Dwark to chime in. And we'll get David Dwork on because obviously Panthers are just an absolute great story this offseason here. I really love what Vinny Viola and Doug Sifu stand for. Since they took over, it's been a different franchise. They've been truly committed to winning. Unfortunately, the Dale Talon thing did not end up working out in the long term. And that was a real issue for the Cats to kind of get over the hump. But Bill Zito, since he took over last year and figured out that this team lacked toughness, and he fixed that, and then you look overall at the moves that he's made, and now you make an incredible trade with Buffalo, which is, Sam Reinhart was on a terrible team last year. And for him to have the dominant stats that he had were impressive as it gets. Let me see. I think we're having an issue here. I gotta see if we can get my man Dwork on here and get ready to get him on the program. Let me see here a second. We're gonna try to link on with Dwork here and try to get him on, folks. Let me see here a second. Okay. All right. So we'll see if David can join us now. Hopefully he will join us. And hopefully he'll be able to get in. Let's see. We will find. Well, there we go. I think we have him now. I think he's ready to go. There he is, the man, the myth, the legend. There we go. It is David Dwork. How you doing, my brother?
Finally. Man, I was getting a little worried there. I was looking forward to seeing you today. And actually get to see you.
Yeah, exactly. Although we gotta fix your lighting or something, bro. You got too much light in the back, so it makes you look all dark. We don't get to see it. Yeah. We don't get to see. It's all right. Don't worry about it. It's all good. The next time around, we'll get you. All right. David Dwork does an excellent job, by the way, of covering the Panthers, and the Panthers are on a roll right now. They have done an awesome job here the last couple of days, making some great acquisitions. Make sure you follow him on Twitter, like I and many others do, at David Dwork, and also subscribe to Chirping the Cats podcast, and you can catch his work there for WPLG. David, good morning, sir. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. I mean, you said it right there. Like the Panthers are on a roll. Like they are maybe in the best spot that they've ever been, ever right now. So it's a good time to be following the team and to be covering the team, and there's more to come. I'm so pumped right now to get to the season, man.
So I know I'm with you on that, but the boys need some rest here. You look at Zito, first of all, before we get even into the moves. How much do we commend this guy? Because, Talon obviously got to me towards the end that I lost it with the guy because he didn't he didn't really have a feel for what this team needed. And by the middle of last season, I was already, not this past season, the season before, I was already saying, okay, this team is just too soft. And this guy came in right away and noticed the same thing and made them tougher right from the get-go. And now, this offseason, he goes out and gets a Sam Reinhart. He just added now a defenseman, which we'll ask you about. What is it about this guy that he's done a really good job of understanding what kind of team he inherited?
I think you can kind of see in the players that were brought in, towards the end of Talon's tenure and within the Bill Zito era. Just looking at the players, you can kind of see the difference in ideologies between the two GMs. Talon was more of an old school, height, weight, kind of guy, the old boys club kind of mentality in scouting hockey players. Whereas Zito, it's a combination. They looked at the physical attributes and they looked at the traditional, but they also looked at the analytics and the numbers. And another characteristic that Zito always brings up that I think is the key element to all of this is character. He brings in guys, the way he describes them as guys who want to come to work every day, who are passionate about winning, and just have that kind of mentality. And that's how you've seen this culture bred in South Florida over the last year plus with this team, because they've brought in not just skilled guys, but guys that are going to work with their hard hat and lunch pail every day, putting in the effort behind the scenes. There's a story from last season about Patrick Hornquist dragging everybody back onto the ice after practice ended so they could work on their power play. Stuff like that you just didn't see or hear from this franchise. And Bill Zito, to his credit, every move he's made, it seems like, has worked out quite well with this team. And he's having another great offseason now. It's kind of unfathomable when you think about the history of this franchise, and then you take the last year plus and add it. It doesn't match. It's a great shift in Panthers lore. And, we got a front row seat to it right now.
And let me follow it up with this. Viola and Sifu also deserve a freaking ton of credit, because all they continue to prove every single freaking day is that they want to win a Stanley Cup, and they're ultimately dedicated to it. Not just on the ice, not just with the building and the improvements, but everything they're doing over at War Memorial and everything else. They are truly committed to the community. They're committed to the team. They're committed to winning. That's the other thing that we cannot, just like we watch Stephen Ross do everything that he does for the Panthers, the same thing we're watching with for the Dolphins, the same thing we're watching with the Panthers owners.
No doubt. And from day one, they have fully invested. They have not restricted the team financially, which they absolutely had every right to do considering the situation that they were in. And also, not to take anything at all away from this amazing ownership group, 100%. But I do also want to mention the job that Matt Caldwell and his team did in hiring Zito, because that was look at the monumental shift in this franchise that we're talking about, because this guy was brought in. There was a long, painstaking process a couple of summers ago to replace Dale Talon, and they clearly, at least to this point, got the right guy. So the ownership group in place, you've got great management. Look what Caldwell and his team have done. It looks like Orlando, and maybe I'm being a little, over anxious, but it looks like the stars might finally be aligning for this team.
Yeah. Let's just not run into Tampa in the first round, and maybe things can change a little bit down the line. All right, so I got complimented by Clay Ferraro on Twitter, because one guy goes to me, "Hey, this Sam Reinhart, I don't know too much about hockey. What would be the basketball comparison?" So I go to him, Chris Middleton, and he goes, "Oh, okay, great." And so then Clay Ferraro, who's going to start on Wednesdays with us here at Inside the Paint here on the show, he complimented. He goes, "That's a pretty good comparison." Is that a good comparison? Tell folks about Sam Reinhart, and if you had to compare him to a basketball player, who would it be?
I'll be honest, you're the first person that's ever asked me to compare a hockey player to a basketball player. So
I didn't. No, that's a listener that asked me to do it, so I'm asking you to do it now.
Props to that's a great question, and you may have just brain pretzeled me there just because my little analytical brain is going to go crazy. But with Sam Reinhart, with a thing with him that I've kind of been interacting with a lot of fans since the trade to explain is his stats are a little askew in terms of his defensive and two-way play because of where he's coming from in Buffalo, a team that gave up more than twice as many goals as they scored for years. Sam Reinhart, first off, elite scoring ability, quick, nasty little shot, great playmaking vision, good hockey IQ, all the great things and attributes you want in a forward. Why he fits in South Florida is because he's a great two-way guy.
Right? Chris Middleton can score. Chris Middleton can score. So there you go.
Well, and Middleton is great as a great defender. Middleton's an endless motor kind of guy. So it's adding up. Absolutely. But yeah, I mean, with Reinhart, it's just like with Sam Bennett, just like with Carter Verhaeghe, just like with Patrick Hornquist, all these guys that are brought in that are great offensive players, but are also great 200-foot players. And that's why Coach Quenneville's systems worked so well last year, because you had guys working their ass off in all three zones. And it led to the Panthers possessing the puck a ton. And you bring in all these players, they're specializing. They're specialized in possessing the puck and creating offense and possessing the game. And that's what they're doing. So Reinhart, 100% a perfect fit in that system. And after you saw the way that Sam Bennett came in last trade deadline and just took off with 15 points in 10 games or whatever ridiculous pace he was on, Reinhart probably had a bit of a better career than Bennett to this point. So Bill Zito is just adding all these pieces, all these little pieces all around. And it's crazy. If their goaltending holds up next season between Bob and the rookie Spencer Knight, the sky's the limit. Bring on Tampa, because Tampa's not going to be the same team that they were this past playoff either. They're going to look significantly different come October.
Not that they're going to tell you or they're going to tell me or they're going to tell any of us what the coach is going to do. But I almost get the feeling that Bob gets one more shot, but on a very short leash. And if he doesn't do well, they're going to go to the young guy and they're going to stay with the young guy, and it's over for Bob, and he becomes the most expensive backup in the history of the NHL. Is that the right prediction, you think?
I think you're on the right path with that. What I expect to see when the season starts is a similar plan to what you saw last year, which was kind of a 1A, 1B situation where you're giving Bob, a decent amount of starts. You're giving him an opportunity to play well, to live up to, maybe not live up to the contract, is like, let's be clear, that's just not going to happen, but live up to being a starting goaltender in this NHL. Because last year, Bob was better than his first year with the team, and he had a great record. The team was winning when he was in goal. He might have not have been playing lights out, but they don't really need him to play lights out at this point. You got to take what you can get. And I would expect Bob and Knight to at least share the starts early on in the year to get them both kind of feet wet situation. But if Spencer Knight is outplaying Bobrovsky as the year goes on and they get closer to the playoffs, I would expect Knight to get more starts, because look what happened last year. Bob wasn't even dressed for the last playoff games. So I think you're going to see a situation where they'll give him a chance, because you kind of have to. But you can't hesitate to put in the better goaltender. And I think that's going to end up being Spencer Knight as the season progresses. And you can take your time with Knight. He's still only going to be a teenager when the season starts. So, ease him in, let him get his feet wet. But I mean, this kid has excelled at every level. He excelled at junior. He excelled international. He excelled at NCAA. And last season, he excelled in not just the NHL, but the Stanley Cup playoffs with that amazing start in Game 5 against Tampa. So I think that you're on the right path. You're going to see a timeshare early. But yes, if Knight ends up being head and shoulders above Bob, you let him run.
Yeah, and let me ask you, if Bob is starting, then obviously, and playing really well, and where I would disagree a little bit with you, he does have to be elite, because when you get to Tampa and you get to the playoffs, you need to be just absolutely amazing. And he has not been. That's what you paid him to be, amazing. So if you pay him to be amazing, then that's great. But if he's not amazing and he's on the bench, how much will this salary hurt the Panthers down the line from getting better? Because that's a lot of money that's going to be sitting on the bench, dude, doing absolutely nothing in a hard cap league.
I think long-term, obviously it's going to be a hindrance, but I mean, let's just say it was a reasonable contract that we weren't upset about. Let's say he was getting $7 million a year instead of $10 million a year. So that's really an extra $3 million or whatever you want to say the difference would be under the cap, which I don't think is a huge difference, because you're going to see in the next couple of years, the cap is going to start going up again as the league starts to expand the revenue again. So while it stinks, and the way these contracts always seem so big when you sign them, 2-3 years down the line, they're not quite as crazy, because, the cap goes up, the hits go down. And look, at the end of the day, Zito and them were saddled with this contract. This is Dale Talon signed him to this deal.
Yeah, I don't blame. Right.
And, it is what it is. Like, you're still a couple of years away if you even want to consider buying it out, which I wouldn't. at least for another couple of years, unless he totally shits the bed, which I don't think he will. This guy, to Bob's credit, he's probably the hardest working guy on the team. He puts in the work, he puts in all the effort, and hopefully he at least can do what he did last year, which is play well enough that the team is winning and then it's not a glaring issue. Bob hasn't been great. I feel like the sentiment is that he's been awful, and he hasn't been awful. He hasn't lived up to $10 million, but who does in the league? Maybe 3 or 4 guys. So as long as he continues to be and yeah, that's kind of where the point I've reached with Bob's contract. But if he just can be reasonably good, decent, so the team's winning, that's all I'm asking at this point.
When's the Barkov deal done? Because I would imagine that right now Sifu and Viola are just calling like 47 Brinks trucks to come on over and drop off the cash. When's that deal you expect to get closed down? Because I would imagine that that's the deal you've got to make right now.
Yeah, and that deal is in the process of being made. I would expect that it's going to happen sometime in the next few weeks, definitely sometime this offseason. Barkov, as amazing as a hockey player he is, he's an equally amazing, just a good guy. And Barkov is not going to drag the Panthers over the coals in this negotiation. He's not that kind of dude. He wants to be in South Florida. And I would expect that Bill Zito and the Panthers are going to give him a good offer. Like, I don't think they're going to lowball him either. I don't think it's going to be a very strenuous negotiation process. I think it'll be fairly easy for both sides, as they're both pretty much on the same page. And yeah, I would think that it gets done at some point in the upcoming weeks, and Barkov's going to be a Panther for a long, long time.
Now, let me ask you, David Dwork, of course, joining us, Chirping the Cats podcast. Make sure you subscribe to it so you can keep up with your Panthers every day. Follow him on Twitter at David Dwork. When we look at the Sam Reinhart trade, from what I understand, he is a restricted free agent, so he needs to get a contract. Now, here's where I got to come with the common sense. Before this trade was ever done, I would imagine Zito and his agent kind of agreed on some kind of a ballpark deal, right? There's no way you're making a trade for somebody and a really good player like Reinhart and not already have something kind of in place and know the parameters or something like that, right? Because when I heard that, I go, they got to agree on they got to have some kind of an agreement on the numbers, in other words.
Well, in the very, very least, since he's RFA, if it gets, and I don't think this would happen, but even if they were to go to arbitration or whatever, the Panthers would have an idea of what that number would be. So in the very, very least, they have to be at least comfortable with that number, which I'm trying to remember what he made last year, but I think it would be like the 5-6 range, which, for a guy that's averaged 20 plus goals a year, who scored more goals in less games than he ever had in his career last season, that's fine. But I agree with you that, look, obviously you can't confirm that and you can never say that, but they're probably had a pretty good idea. If you're spending these assets, if you're spending a first round pick and a great goaltending prospect, you're not just bringing in the guy to negotiate and sit at the table and maybe get something done. So yeah, I would assume that there's whether they talked already or, the friend of a friend or whatever, they had a pretty good idea that making this trade, it's going to work out. Just like with Sam Bennett last year, you're not sending a second round pick and a guy who was just taken like 40th overall the summer before for a guy that you're going to get for 2 months. That's not a Bill Zito move. So that's why I think both of those deals are going to be getting done. And I think they're going to be getting done in the not too distant future.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing stuff. Cause some amazing moves by the Cats. Lucas Carlson, the defender. What can you tell us?
Carlson, big, solid stay-at-home D guy. He was brought over last year in that big trade with Chicago when they sent Brett Connolly and Henrik Borgstrom and Riley Stillman, basically to get rid of Brett Connolly's contract. You gave Chicago a pretty solid prospect in Borgstrom and a guy I really liked in Riley Stillman. And then you got back Lucas Carlson and Lucas Wallmark. But I think that was more of a getting rid of move than a bringing in move, because Wallmark maybe played 2 or 3 games with the Panthers, and Carlson, he just went straight to the AHL. So this is more of a depth signing. They also, Big O signed another RFA this morning, defenseman Noah Juleson. Both of those guys are probably going to play the majority of their time in Charlotte in the AHL next season. But I mean, you saw it last year with Bill Zito that he liked to bring in a lot of D. I think, between the taxi squad and the main roster last year, they had 9-10 D most of the time. And it's good to have that kind of capabilities with your back line, because as we saw with Aaron Ekblad, one injury can really throw a wrench into things. And Florida was lucky that Zito had plucked Gustav Forsling off waivers in January of last year, just like he did with Noah Juleson. Juleson was hurt a good part of last year, but Forsling, to his credit, plucked off the waiver wire, became a top pairing defenseman, scoring huge goals in the playoffs for this team. Now gets a 3-year extension. So the Panthers back line between the top end featuring Ekblad and Weegar, and the bottom end featuring, guys like Juleson, Carlson, the younger guys, Matt Kierstead, who they signed from NCAA last year. They're building a nice little defensive core, and it's kind of cool to see how you can see the mindset of how they like to build this team and how they like to really lay the foundation and make sure that you're set not just at the top but all the way through.
David, can you do something for us? Because obviously we're not the hockey experts or maven that you are, and you understand all of this more than most of us. Explain to us, because I know a little bit about it, but I want a little more clarification. Explain to everybody how Tampa benefited from the major injury to their star, that they were able to supplement that salary with other players. And so they were so loaded this year. They were better. They're already great. They were even better this year once they got their stud back. But then now this offseason, how much does it reset, and what do we expect them to lose? And what kind of steps do we expect them to take back, that maybe while they take a couple steps back, the Panthers take a couple steps forward? Did the Panthers, close the gap between these two franchises? So explain that whole process from last year leading into this season.
Yeah, and I'll start by saying, what you mentioned at the end. I think they already closed the gap. I think you saw that last year, that they had a better team than Tampa pretty much every time they played them until the playoffs started, when Tampa's roster kind of got that nice little jolt from Nikita Kucherov. The way that worked, you go back to last offseason. You go back to last December and January. Nikita Kucherov had hip surgery, so they knew that he was going to be out for a while. So you put him on long-term IR, and when a guy is on long-term IR, his contract does not count against the cap. So that gave Tampa a lot more flexibility with Kucherov stashed on long-term IR. The thing that people have a problem with is, could he have come back during the regular season? Because as soon as he comes off long-term IR, the cap hit counts again, and Tampa was up against the cap with him on IR. Right. So that I think that's where people started having an issue, was late in the season when, okay, he's been practicing for a few weeks now. Why isn't he playing yet? Tampa's just kind of biding their time because they knew they were going to be a playoff team. And look, credit to Tampa. They worked within the parameters of the rules, and it worked out. When the playoffs started, that cap hit no longer applies when he comes off long-term IR. He's good to go. And at that time, Tampa had this team that was pretty well stacked, that, from top to bottom, between their top guys, the Stamkoses, the Tyler Johnsons, and he'd come down the line to the Pat Maroons and the Blake Colemans. And then you throw in the Kucherov to that. They added David Savard, at the trade deadline. I mean, Tampa was stacked. And then when you add on top of all that, they've got this freaking robo goalie that's like 12 feet tall, and Andrei Vasilevsky, that's like the best goaltender that maybe I've ever seen in my life. He's so frigging good. So I hope I explained. That's it's not that complicated what Tampa did. And I understand why people would get upset, but at the end of the day, they didn't break any rules. They put the guy on long-term IR. What do they lose?
What do they lose now from this past team going into next season?
Well, they lose that flexibility to build the depth around your main guys. Is you're going to have Stamkos and Kucherov and Vasilevsky and Hedman, Callahan, all these great players. Now you're not going to be able to supplant them at Mully. They've already lost Yanni Gord. They're going to lose some of the other key role guys because they're not going to be able to afford them. They were up against the cap last year without Kucherov's hit. I'm not exactly sure what it is off the top of my head, but I'm guessing it's in the 10 million range. That is an eighth of the salary cap. That's a huge number. So for them to have to replace those guys, I mean, we'll see how good their farm system is. Tampa's GM, Patrice Brisebois, is very astute. He probably was preparing for this. So I expect Tampa is going to be a good team, no doubt. But the team that they were in the playoffs, the juggernaut team that rolled over everybody, maybe not.
Okay. All right. I like it. Good stuff. Follow him on Twitter at David Dwork. Catch his work at Chirping the Cats podcast. He always gets it done. David, as always, you're a stud, my brother. Thank you for taking some time. We really appreciate it.
No problem, man. You know what? I've got a couple of I'm looking behind you at all the cool stuff in your studio there. I got a couple of the same exact Marino things right behind me in here. So great minds, my friend.
There you go. Oh, great player. No doubt about it. David, you're the best, brother. Thank you. Appreciate you.
All right. Be well.
You got it. There you go. David Dwork, man. Good stuff. Always love having David on so we can talk a little Panthers. Always love talking a little Panthers and giving them some love, the love that they deserve in a big-time way. Appreciate all of you for keeping it locked here. We are up almost against the top of the hour, and we're about to start hour number 3 already. Is this a joke or what? I mean, this is crazy, man. This is like the fastest 2 hours I've done of radio in a long, long time. And there aren't a lot of like commercial breaks. We only do something at the top of the hour really short, and that's it. And what, Omar, we have an open and a close, and nothing. We don't really, part too much from the program. So appreciate that. Manuel says Panthers officially re-signed Sam Bennett. That was expected. You're not going to trade for Bennett, or you're not going to trade for Reinhard, and you're not going to end up signing those guys. Of course, you're going to sign those guys. And listen, the one thing I saw last year from them, they can score on that goalie, man. As good as Tampa's goalie is, somehow or another, the Cats were able to score on that guy. So let's hope that they can put it all together and not meet them so early in the damn game. That would be really nice if you could do that. Like maybe run into Tampa in the second and third rounds, not the first round. Come on, man. Come on, please. All right. Remember, you could get in on the YouTube channel. If you got a question, a comment, an insult, whatever it is, Yahoo email, bigoradioshow@yahoo.com. That's bigoradioshow@yahoo.com. Twitter, Big O Show. Please log on there and follow us on Twitter at Big O Show. And remember, Cash App or Venmo, another great way of supporting us and helping us grow at Cash App or Venmo. And the address is Cash Big O Show. That's Cash Big O Show. Find that and you will find us, and you can support us all the way through. All right, let's do this. Let's take a really quick break here, and let's get ready for hour number 3 right here on the Big O Radio Show.
Sports fans love a place with great food, cold drinks, and TVs everywhere. That's why sports fans love Sports Grill and their 7 amazing locations. Check out the Bird Road location at 11481 Southwest 40th Street in the back corner of the West Bird Shopping Center. Sports Grill is also now offering some great employment opportunities. All kinds of positions are now available, from kitchen to hosting. Call for more information at 305-485-8845. From wraps to salads to amazingly delicious specialty dishes, Sports Grill is the home to the legendary special grilled wings. Since 1987, Sports Grill, good food, good drink, and good friends. Starting in August, longtime Miami Heat insider Ira Winderman joins the Big O Radio Show. Ira will give insight twice a week on your favorite NBA team. Heat fans get the information you crave from one of the best in the business. From weekly appearances to breaking news, join Ira Winderman exclusively on the Big O Show. Found on most platforms.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
The viewpoint, statements, or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyAccess.com, Media Group, Inc., ownership, management, sponsors, or website. When it comes to South Florida sports teams, very few in the media have witnessed, lived, and covered it like the Big O. Let's start the program dedicated to your favorite South Florida teams with a passion that's unmatched. The Big O Radio Show is on. Here's the Big O.
It's a beautiful thing, baby. It's hour number 3 of the program. Thank you all for tuning in and keeping it locked here on the show. We appreciate all of you as always. Somebody just sent me Rock Island Fest 2022 in Key West is coming. January 14th, Bret Michaels, Night Ranger, Winger, Firehouse, and Steelheart. January 15th, Loverboy, Skid Row, Warrant, Bullet Boys, Enough's Enough. January 16th, D. Snyder, Dokken and Lynch Reunion, Slaughter, Last in Line, Faster Pussycat. January 17th, which is a Monday, it's Jackal, Lita Ford, Jack Russell's Great White, Vixen, and Bang Tango, all hosted by Eddie Trunk. Wow. Holy crap. Holy crap. You know what I want to do with that? I want to go down to the Keys and just stay there for a few days. I'll just do the shows on Friday and Monday from the Keys. That's all. Do it in the morning, go rock out at night. It's pretty good, man. That's a pretty good concert. Bret Michaels, you get to see some Poison. Night Ranger, I love Night Ranger. Winger's got a couple songs. Firehouse and Steelheart, Then Loverboy, I get to see Mike Reno and his 300-pound self sing. Skid Row, well, Skid Row won't be without, what's the lead singer's name now? It's Sebastian Bach. So, Warrant, okay. Bullet Boys are all right, actually. I've seen the Bullet Boys a couple times. They're still pretty good. Enough's Enough, not interested. D. Snyder. If anybody has seen D. Snyder's last solo album, if you've heard it, that shit rocks, dude. That's a really good album. The last D. Snyder album, I'm telling you, if you love your metal, it's going to freak you out. You're going to go, wow, D. Snyder's kicking some ass. So I don't mind seeing D. Snyder. You see Dokken and Lynch, so you get to see Don Dokken, and I know he's gone through his health issues, and then you get to see George Lynch just, fly through the frets. I got no problem with that. Slaughter's not bad. Last in Line is actually cool because you'll get to hear the Dio music. Now, the question is, will Last in Line have the Dio hologram? That's the question. And Faster Pussycat, Jackal's entertaining. I love Lita Ford and Jack Russell's Great White. And I know, God bless him, Jack Russell has had all kinds of health issues. And that is one of the toughest sumbitches out there. He has fought through all of that. Bless him, man. Because let me tell you, Great White is one of those rock bands that you don't realize how many songs they have until you actually listen to them. And you're like, oh, crap, that's right. They did this song, and they did this song, and they did this. You're like, man, they were pretty damn good. It's not just, Once Bitten, Twice Shy. It's not just House of Broken Love. No, they've got a bunch of other ones. And so, Rock Island Fest 2022, January 14th through the 17th. That's a pretty cool one right there. I was just sent. How about that? I can go with that one, man. I can go with that one. Let's see how the market is doing right now. For those of us that are playing the crypto market, we're a little happy right now. Anybody that's playing crypto, you talk to them, they're pretty happy right now because it's taken steps forward compared to where it was a little bit ago. Bitcoin is at 38,890, so it is approaching 40K now. Love it. It went down all the way to 28, man. It's up to almost 40 again. And Ethereum is at 2361. So things are soaring, baby. Soaring. Love it. Venus is up, what is it? 42%. How about reserve rights? I've told you about reserve rights for a while. I bought some of reserve rights on its dip. I got it as low as 1.9 cents, and it's up to 3.2 now. So it was like at 8 cents. So I got it under 4. I got a bunch of it under 4, all the way down to 1.9 cents. And that thing's going to go past 8 cents. So yeah, that's how you play the game. Herman Cueva says, Big O, thanks for making our mornings and early mornings very enjoyable and entertaining. You're the best. Got late, so when you end today's show, I'll rewind to watch your take on Tua with Omar. Yes. Well, I talked about something about Tua before I brought on Omar, and then we had the Omar situation. Uber asked me, do I have Anchor? I had Anchor. And then it went up several pennies on one of the other pump and dumps. And I got to admit, I didn't keep it, and I took the profit and I moved it over to another coin because what I like Anchor. I think it's a solid company, but I think I was going to get more growth with that money using it on something else. I forgot what I transferred it over to. I believe it was either Matic or Stellar that I took that money over because I like Matic and Stellar over Anchor. I think Anchor will grow, but I think it's a really slow grow overall. It's like Harmony. I love Harmony. I don't have really anything invested in Harmony, but I do like it. But it's one of those where you have to be incredibly patient with Harmony. It will build because their business plan is incredibly smart because they're connecting. They're connecting. They're building bridges to connect all of the blockchains. That's why it's called Harmony. Get it? So it's one of those deals, and I like Harmony a lot too. Anchor, I find it to be a solid company too. I just think these are slow-growing companies that you have to be incredibly patient and give it some years before you're really seeing some delicious profits from those kind of companies. But you will see it. You just got to give it a few years. Big O Bud, did my annual physical, feel great at work, at lunch, on to Cincinnati. All right, Willie. I'm glad. And he's compartmentalizing. I like it. You got to do that. I like it. Heat zombies, Heat targeting Ingram from the Pelicans. They don't have anything to trade. You know, unless there isn't a market for Lonzo Ball. If that's the question, then yeah. But you know how the Heat zombies are. They think they can have anything. Lisa Rose says, Kip Winger. Woo la la. There you go. So you going down to the Keys? Huh? You going down to the Keys there, Lisa? I'll see you there. I think I might go to that show, man. If I'm not, my luck, it's probably, conflicting with something I want to do down the line. I have to check the dates, but that is one show. Why not go down to the Keys for a couple of days, man? Just get a hotel, stay down there, do the show a couple of days down in the Keys, have some fun. I love that. All right, what else do we have to talk about here on the program? Anybody enjoy Ted Lasso? I enjoyed the first episode. I gotta say, I'm not gonna give anything away. All right. I will say that Ted Lasso coached Inter Miami last night. That's the only thing that I'll tell you. Okay. Lasso scored. He coached them last night. And anybody that watched Ted Lasso, you know what the hell I'm talking about. If you watched Ted Lasso and you watched Inter last night, then you know what I'm talking about. If not, then you don't understand the pop culture reference that I'm trying to make here. Anybody catch Gardner Minshew? Now, Gardner Minshew is a dude that he is what we call a character, right? The porn stash, all that stuff. It took off in Jacksonville. Then here comes Urban Meyer. They end up with the number 1 pick in the draft because they ultimately suck, and they end up taking Trevor Lawrence. So Trevor Lawrence obviously is going to be your number 1 quarterback. He's considered the second coming. He's considered the can't miss type prospect, all that good stuff, right? So Gardner made it onto the Green Light podcast. And in the Green Light podcast, he was explaining to the boys his status on the team and something he's refraining from.
I'll tell you this, man, in preparation for the competition, I haven't taken a shit in weeks. It's not an option for me. Number 2 is not an option. I'll tell you that.
This is the Chris Long podcast. So he hasn't what? So, come on. We gotta play that one again.
I'll tell you this, man, in preparation for the competition, I haven't taken a shit in weeks. It's not an option for me. Number 2 is not an option. I'll tell you that.
Number 2 is not an option. That is freaking awesome, dude. I mean, you got to like the guy, right? I mean, he is likable. You have to admit that he is likable. He's a character. You just wish he was a great quarterback. He's not terrible. Okay. He's not like, Pat White or something. You know what I mean? He's not John Beck. Okay. He's not even Chad Henne. He's actually better than these kind of guys. He's crafty back there. He can make some plays. He's a little limited, but he's got savvy. He's got cojones. You know what I'm saying? And he's got a sense of humor.
I'll tell you this, man, in preparation for the competition, I haven't taken a shit in weeks. It's not an option for me. Number 2 is not an option. I'll tell you that.
Oh, that is awesome. That is just absolutely awesome. That may be one of the best sound bites you'll hear all year long from Gardner Minshew. He hasn't taken a dump because number 2 for him is not an option. I love that. I absolutely love that. I got to congratulate the NFL. You know why I want to congratulate the NFL? Because they did the right thing with all of this COVID stuff. And the fact that they've got players now that have to kind of balance out what they're going to do. Do I look, to me, I'm sorry, I don't really have a lot of understanding on this. Well, it's a decision thing. No, it's a pandemic. And we all need to come together on this pandemic, okay? That we've had others in the history of time. The logical thing is get the damn immunity shot. Get the damn vaccine, bro. Help yourself fight against this. Help others. Let's end this thing. The fact that we didn't have one last year, so we had to mask up. And when it was bad, we all had to stay in our homes. We all want to get out. We all want to have a life. And part of having a life is to get the damn vaccine. And people have politicized this, and it's not about politics. It's about saving lives. So I'm glad that the NFL, a private business, is handling business the way they should with all of this. And if some guys don't want to get the vaccine and then they want to lose out, then go ahead and lose out, my brother. I have no problem. Here's an agent, and his name is Chad Speck. And so Chad Speck, the president of Allegiance Athletic Agency, tweeted out on Saturday that an NFL team called today interested in working out and signing a free agent client. When they found out he wasn't vaccinated, they were no longer interested. The rules in the NFL implemented in reality mandates the vaccine for back-end roster-type players. And so listen, if DeAndre Hopkins doesn't want to get the vaccine and that will force him to retire, well, then go ahead, dude. Go ahead. You know, the problem with all of this is misinformation. And whatever you want to knock the vaccine for, it's actually a much more effective vaccine than some others that have been created in the history of time. Like the polio one, which was at 90%. This one's like at 95%. No such thing as a perfect vaccine. Problem is that Hopkins doesn't know that. Like a lot of people. They think, oh, well, it's not 100%. Moron, there is no such thing as a vaccine that's 100%. So if any of you are thinking that, it doesn't happen. You're misinformed. You know, it's kind of like but it's kind of like what's going on with some Cubans. That you're protesting and you think the government can all of a sudden go in there and shut down Cuba and take over the country. And they can't. They can't do that. They never will be able to do that. They're not doing it in Haiti. They're not going to do it in Cuba. They didn't do it with the missile crisis back in the Bay of Pigs. They didn't do it in 1980. They're not going to do it now. They can say, oh, we demand that they have internet. We can do all that. The United States is not going to do a damn thing. But you have people that are protesting thinking that you could actually just go in there and blitz the government and take them out and start running it yourself. That's not going to happen. And it's just a misconception that's out there. And I congratulate the NFL on this because The only way as a society we're going to get through this, remember, it took decades to get polio out of our world with a vaccine. Okay? Listen to me, with a vaccine. If we do things without a vaccine, the amount of death that we're going to have is catastrophic. Luckily, our scientists were able to come up with a vaccine. Is it perfect? Of course not. Nothing's perfect. We've explained that already. You could get sick from baby aspirin taking it every single day. You could die from that. It's a very small percentage, but it could happen. But the only way we're going to get through this is through some education. But the problem is we have way too many people that believe a lot of the misinformation that's out there. Kind of like what happened with the crypto market. A ton of misinformation out there. And so people got scared. People panicked. People lost a lot of money and sold out their crypto, and they sold it at numbers that were way lower than they bought it. Instead of staying strong, hanging on. Hey, man, I've got Bitcoin that I bought in the 40s. Okay? I do. I got it in the 30s. I got it in the 40s. Okay? So what am I supposed to do? Panic and sell? No, I hang on. It'll pass the 40s. It'll go back into the 50s. It'll go back into the 60s, and I'll start making money on that coin. I'm losing on some of those coins. That happens to a couple of other coins that I have, that they went under the number that I originally bought them at. But you know what I did? I then bought it at its lowest number, because that's what you do with dollar cost average as it goes down. But the lack of information then goes ignorance, and then people go out there and they panic. And it's the same thing that's happening. I mean, hey, man, aren't we like 6 days away from August? I mean, you had some idiot out there that think, he thinks he's going to get reinstated. And then you have morons that then follow that idiot, and they think he's going to get reinstated. Because what? They make up the rules along the way now? Misinformation nowadays is everywhere. And that's the problem right now. And I'm glad that the NFL is taking a strong stance on this. They got a lot of money on the line. They don't need to keep reshuffling games around and playing every day of the week and forcing guys into unhealthy like situations. Man, you have a choice here. You can either have the vaccine, or you could take your chances and put your life on the line. 99.8% of the people that are hospitalized are people that are unvaccinated. The math is simple. All you got to do is look at India and look at Brazil. Ignorance and a lack of resources, and look at the thousands that are dying. We have to eliminate the ignorance. We have the resources. Let's get it done. And as an NFL fan, I'm glad you're doing everything possible so you can have your games on time every single week without having people cost you games because they are choosing to do something that is wrong, which is stay away from the vaccine. Unless you have a health issue, that's the only reason you can stay away from the vaccine. Outside of that, the rest of us as a world, not Americans, not Puerto Ricans, not Argentines, not Brazilians, not Africans, not Canadians, as a world, if you have an opportunity to get that vaccine, you get that vaccine and you help the world get healthier. That's how we're going to get to that point. And it's going to take a while. Nothing is done overnight. No vaccine is 100%. None of this is done overnight. None of it. So I am really proud that the NFL has taken a hardline stance. It's what they should do right now, so they could get their business straightened out. And for us as fans, we get to see 17 games. So congrats to the NFL. Props to them. I love what they're doing. It's going to help me as a fan enjoy all of football. Leon Fresco, thank you, sir, chiming in on a little super chat. Appreciate it. Thank you. He says, does Spoelstra coach the U.S. men's basketball team in 2026? It could be. Makes a lot of sense. By then, Pops maybe have stepped down. Yeah, I could see that. Just make sure you get some role players. Oh, did you see they fired an assistant coach because he didn't want to get vaccinated? Yes. You are talking about Rick Dennison, sir. Rick Dennison refused to take the vaccine with the Vikings and ended up losing the job. Why? Politics? Because there's no proof for anything else. That's the thing. It's like, that's the problem with some of these folks. You ask them why, and then they have, oh, there's all kinds of problems with the vaccine. No, there isn't. No, there isn't. It's a tiny percentage of people. That's supposed to happen, dude. Okay, so what's the bigger percentage? Tiny percent that something happens to you negatively because you take the vaccine? Or is there a bigger chance that if you catch COVID, you could die? I don't know. You tell me. I'll take my chances with the vaccine, just like you did, just like everybody else did that took the vaccine. There's a small little chance, dude. It's a small little chance when you go to that candy machine, that candy machine kills you, or the candy you're eating kills you. There's a small chance for everything, man. I mean, give me a break. The other day, unfortunately, we had several Chinese people walk into a Subway, and 13 of them could not walk out because they were hit by a monsoon and they were drowned inside the Subway. There's a risk at everything, but the risk is minimal, so minimal with the vaccine. Without the vaccine, you are putting yourself at much greater risk and long-term effects that you could have from this thing, which God forbid any of you. I hope it doesn't happen to any of you. Manny J. Snow. Thank you, sir. Chiming in on a little super chat. Thank you. He says, been listening, brother. Oh, Army never sleeps. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. In Honduras, when all the first-line medics got vaccinated, none of them have died. Well, of course, there's a good chance nothing will happen to you if you get vaccinated. You know, you could still catch it, but there's a great chance you're not going to die. You know, that's the beauty. Love your realism, Big O. So with training camp about to start for the Dolphins, what's your realistic expectation where this team is at in the start of camp? James, I got to tell you something, man. The Dolphins are at a position they haven't been in over 25 years. That's the best part about everything that's going on here. The Dolphins are in an awesome spot. They've got a front office. They've got a real coach. They've got a quarterback. They've got more picks coming up. They've got a loaded young team now with all kinds of potential. I haven't seen the Dolphins be in this kind of position in forever, my friend. So they're in a great spot, and I think they're going to make the playoffs this year. Like I've said, 2021's the tune-up. 2022 is the title run, baby. That's what it's all about. So I think the Dolphins are on the brink of becoming a great team. This year will be the one where they lay the foundation to take that next step forward and become one of the best teams in the league. This year will be the year where they establish that. After winning 10, they'll win 11 or 12 this year. They'll get into the playoffs. They'll get some experience. And I think the following season is when you start seeing, you know, the potential of this team. I have nothing but incredible confidence that Tua is going to be one hell of a quarterback. That's why I don't get caught up in this silliness of Watson or any of that. I think somebody sent in a text earlier, oh, no, you got to trade for Watson right now. No, dude, I'm not doing that. Not doing that. I'm not giving up a whole bunch of picks. And that's the other thing that you know what I love about some of these people out there? You're also so unrealistic. You know, some guy, oh, we'll trade a first and a second and Tua and Watson. You think that's what you're going to get for Watson? When they trade for Watson, it'll be like 3 first-rounders, 2 second-rounders, and a player. That's what it's going to be. You're going to have to give up a ton of picks. That's what I love about, you know what I love? I love the Heat zombies. I love the Dolphin zombies because they think every time they want to acquire somebody that, oh no, we'll just give them Tyler Hero in a second rounder and they'll give us Bradley Beal. Meanwhile, Bradley Beal is going to go for 4 or 5 first rounders. Miami doesn't have one. But don't tell the Heat zombie that. No. Don't tell the Dolphins zombie that. No, Aaron Rodgers, Jakeem Grant in a 7th rounder and a 1st rounder in 2036. They'll give it to us. That's the Dolphin zombie. That guy, I don't know. I'm not even going to look it up on the chat board already at this point. 1st, 2nd, and Tua, and give us Watson. Who the hell told you were going to get him for that little? You know, that's the problem. You don't live in reality. Okay? And the guy with orange hair will be put back in office on August 1st, too. Sure, my pillow guy. Anyway, reach out to us on the YouTube channel. And, of course, Yahoo. You want to reach out on the email, bigoradioshow@yahoo.com. Twitter, Big O Show. Remember, Cash App or Venmo, Cash Big O Show. That's Cash Big O Show. Super V says, Big O, I just lost my brother and sister to COVID variant last week. So please, people, get vaccinated. Damn right, bro. Damn right. We all got to get vaccinated. Protect each other. This is about fighting for each other, fighting for the world, bro. It's not just fighting for people in Miami or in Florida. It's fighting for everybody in the damn world. We have to fight for each other, man. Let's see. Ryan says, what are you talking about? Without the vaccine, you are at 99.8% risk of living. So without the vaccine, you're going to make life a lot harder on you. The Watson talk is stressing me out again. Raging, stop already, bro. Stop with the Watson. Don't listen to the FUD. Remember what we talked about last week? How Tua and crypto are a lot alike, that there's a lot of FUD and lies out there. There's FUD and lies about the election. There's FUD and lies about Orange Man. There's FUD and lies about the vaccine. There's FUD and lies about Tua. There's FUD and lies about crypto. Don't believe the bullshit. Notice how they all become lies when it's all said and done. Because people are, they're gullible, man. They're incredibly gullible. That's what this world is. They're feeding you a ton of misinformation. Do your homework and you will live on the realistic side of everything that goes on. Let's see. How badly do you feel for vaccinated Olympians who work their whole lives and are not allowed to participate because of positive COVID tests? Seems so harsh. It does, Leon. But guess what? If everybody got vaccinated, all those athletes, they all get an opportunity to get vaccinated. So if we're hanging around people that aren't vaccinated, they're going to keep it alive. And then they'll get the people even vaccinated. They'll get them infected. They won't get sick and die, but you'll get them infected and they can pass it on. This is why herd immunity is so incredibly important. Got to stop politicizing it. Our front office's blueprint on how to build a team in 2 years will be mimicked for years to come. Manny J. Snow, I said that a year ago. A year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, those of you that follow the show, didn't I tell you that the Dolphins, and it's going to happen, that the Dolphins are going to set the standard, and then people are going to try to copy them and try to rebuild their teams the way the Dolphins did. They're going to start a trend. Because Miami has rebuilt their team faster than everybody else ever even thought they could. So that's the problem. Let me see here. All right. I think we're waiting Michelle Kaufman to join us. She'll be joining us any minute now. So answer about England, Big O. Explain why more vaccinated have died in the last month. Maybe it's the AstraZeneca. Maybe it's Johnson & Johnson. I don't know. I don't know how many. But it's still minimal. It's still not a lot. The people that have you, it's nothing compared to the people that are unvaccinated. Okay, not even close. And Ryan, don't you live in this country? Right? You live in this country, right? Okay, and please don't compare us to Europe. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing. We're way ahead of Europe and way more organized than Europe. So I don't know. I know AstraZeneca and what is it? The Johnson and Johnson are not as effective, right? Apparently, the Pfizer and the Moderna are more effective. That's the thing about these vaccines. They're not perfect, Ryan. But what's worse, not being vaccinated or being vaccinated? I mean, give me a break. You know, I'll take my chances being vaccinated so I don't catch it. Again, Ryan, what happens if you don't have a vaccine when polio was out? What happens? You eradicate people. You eradicate entire communities and cities and countries and human beings if you don't have the vaccine. Is that the life you want to live? Again, Ryan, if you want perfect, bro, you go find another world. All right? Not the perfect team. There's not the perfect woman. There's not the perfect man. There's not the perfect vaccine. There's not the perfect politics. There's not the perfect government. There's not the perfect human being. There's not the perfect car. There's nothing that's perfect, bro. Nothing is perfect, except maybe Halle Berry. But outside of that, nothing else is perfect. Okay? Well, J-Lo, 52, perfect. Okay, J-Lo and Halle Berry. Outside of that, there's nothing perfect in this world. Okay? Nothing. Zero. All right, let me see. I think we've got to send our friend Michelle an invite here because she is having a little issue getting in. Let's see. Here we go. Okay. Hopefully we'll get Michelle Kaufman on now in a second. Okay. Once again, there's nothing perfect. There's no perfect soccer team. There's no perfect football team. There's nothing that's perfect. And if you want perfect, Ryan, you're not going to get it here. You're just not, unfortunately. But that's just the way it is. All right, we are awaiting Michelle Kaufman. She's going to join us. We'll have a little fun, and we'll talk a little Inter Miami. As yesterday, Inter Miami ended up tying the Philadelphia Union. And, of course, Michelle Kaufman does an excellent job of covering the team on a daily basis. Michelle, good afternoon. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. We have to start with a shout out to the Herrera family, which is the military family that was honored yesterday. And when they met me, when I went to interview them at halftime, the first thing they said was, "We listened to you on the Big O show." Woo! They are big fans of the Big O show. They said they listen every week. Humberto Herrera is his father. He's a police officer, and his brother Carlos, I'm sure you guys are listening. Carlos is the uncle, the proud uncle who was in the Air Force. And Anthony is the soldier who flew in to surprise his family yesterday at the game. They had no idea. They have not seen him in 2.5 years. And the game started with a really nice ceremony. It was Military Appreciation Day. So they invited the family and just pretended that they were going to have a video of their son speaking to them. Mm-hmm. So they had it on the big screen, and the family's there on the field, and they have him delivering a message on the big screen. And then the kid he's 25, comes running through the tunnel onto the field, and they were completely shocked. Anyway, they are big fans of the Big O show. So I just wanted to give them a shout out.
That's awesome. Well, thank you very much for listening and supporting us. And, you know, the one thing that I've noticed, Michelle, this thing has grown, man. And because we're kind of in a digital world now, people aren't really listening to radio and television or watching television the way they habitually used to do it. It's all on demand nowadays. So this is kind of the future, the way things are going to be done. And so thank you very much. I appreciate them listening and supporting us in a big time way. That is very, very cool. It's nice to hear it's nice to hear the reaction from folks out there. That's pretty cool. I like that.
Yep. So anyway, yeah, it was a big night. It was a big night last night. A lot of change, and the team played completely different. It looked like completely different players from Wednesday.
Yeah, they listen. They were organized. They played a certain style. Again, I'm still a little frustrated because they still had several opportunities, and Higuaín, I got to tell you, man, for a guy
missed a 1v1, he missed a 1v1 right there, and yeah,
he's got to close out, man. That's what they pay your ass to do, is to score, and he's had several opportunities, and they should have won that game last night, actually, to be honest with you. They had 16 shots. They outplayed them. They had 16 shots. At one point, they were leading possession 60% to 40 pretty late in the game. They dominated the game pretty much from beginning to end. They took 16 shots. Robbie missed a really close one after the one he scored. He missed one by about an inch to the right. And Gonzalo missed two, one of them that was a 1v1 with the goalie that he shot wide left. But yeah, the team, first of all, we've spoken about Federico Higuaín earlier in the season. Fede is a really good, he's just a really good match for this team. I think for one thing, he elevates his brother's play. I find that Gonzalo definitely plays better when Big Brother is there with him and watching him and feeding him, and they just play well together. And Fede in general is just much more of a ball distributor than Pizarro. He's 36, but he's super fit, and he has really good vision. He has very good field vision. He's like, the point guard who's always looking for people who are open and getting them the ball. And everybody seems to, basically the sign of a good player, and especially a midfielder, is that everybody else plays better when they're on the field. And it seems to me that when Fede Higuaín is on the field, the other players play better when he's in there. He directs them. He calms them down. He feeds them the ball. So that was, I thought that was a really good move to put him in. Blaise Matuidi, by the way, was benched. He didn't play at all. And I put in my story, for those of you who, didn't read my story, hopefully you all did. He has zero business being a DP. That was just an incredibly stupid ass move by Paul McDonough and the team. That was a terrible, terrible move. And just like Pizarro has turned into a terrible move too. These are two DPs that they have burned this team in a big time. And Higuaín so far is not even worth the money that they're paying him. Really,
the truth is last night, they really played their best game last night without two of their DPs. Right. Normally you would say, ooh, they're missing two DPs. They actually played better. Blaise didn't play. He, in the previous game on Wednesday night, a lot of people don't know this, but in the game Wednesday night, when Phil Neville benched him at halftime to replace him with Jay Chapman, Blaise left the stadium. He left the stadium. He drove away and was not there for the second half. So that is not what a teammate is supposed to do.
Wait a minute, but that might be a blessing in disguise, because if he exercises his way out of there, that's freedom for them and get rid of his salary. Now it's going to be hard to move him, but still, one way or another. Now, if you got rid of him on your own after bringing him over and family and all that, it would be a terrible look for you. But if anybody looks, you see that he's not really an impactful player. They made the right decision in benching his ass. And if he wants to get pissed off, this actually might be a small silver lining out of all of this, because if he wants to create the fuss and create a way out of there, that will indirectly become a blessing for the team.
Yeah. For right now, unless he changes, for right now, the team played better last night with him not in there, I have to say. And then Gregory, the other big news. Well, there was a lot of big news. Robbie Robinson. Oh, Dave, they can see you.
What's up, Dave?
Dave is eating snacks.
Chocolate covered almonds.
Chocolate covered almonds.
There you go.
Dark chocolate, the healthy chocolate. It
There
means
you
you
go.
can eat like
Smart
22 of them and there's no calories.
There you
Anyway, so Robbie scored, which, was nice to see. The kid really, in my opinion, he has so much upside. He can be so good, and he hasn't had that many opportunities. So to see him score and be decisive and take a shot, that was promising for the team. Then the other news that came out of last night was too that Phil Neville, at the beginning of the season, he named 4 captains, which some people thought that was, just pick a captain. Like, why do you have 4 captains? Who's really the captain then? Last night, he announced that Gregory is the new captain for the whole season. And Phil said for the next 3, 4, or 5 years. So he's really thinking ahead here. But anyway, he said that the 4 captain approach was not working because there was confusion among the players about who was really leading the team and, whatever. It was very indecisive. So he decided to change altogether, and he went to Gregory and said, are you ready to assume this responsibility? And Gregory is now the new sole captain of the team.
Well, by the way, he's been the most consistent player on the team. So why not give it to the guy that performs every single game? And you can rarely look at Gregory ever to be the problem on the team. And they've had a terrible year so far, but Gregory has been one of the bright spots of this team. So I actually give Neville a lot of credit for the benching, for the naming of Gregory as captain, these kind of things. And I got to give them some love for the way the team played yesterday. They gave themselves an opportunity to stay in the game. Unfortunately, the Przybylko goal at the end, equalized.
I know, with 5 minutes to go. They were 5 minutes from winning that game,
I know.
Yeah. I know it's kind of like, but yeah, it was much better. I mean, it was a much better performance. And by the way, the fans, we do have to shout out to the fans, and the players did. The players on numerous occasions after warmups, at halftime, and after the game, the players made a point to look up and clap at the fans because, this team is really struggling. They're in last place. They had lost 6 in a row. And the fans did not boo them when they came onto the field. They cheered them super loud. They had one banner in Spanish that said, "The family never abandons you." And the other one said, "Win or lose, we are here with you." So, they showed their love to the team despite, the poor performances recently.
Mm-hmm.
And the team really, really seemed to appreciate that support.
They better. I mean, and sadly, the crowds have gotten smaller as the season goes on. So
Yeah.
it's something that they have to be aware of. Last night's effort was nice. Unfortunately, the moral victory stuff doesn't really go that far anymore because you're in year 2 already at this point, and so you want to take those next steps forward. But I mean, for now, at least, I will agree with Neville on this. Let's hope that this is something that you can build on.
Right.
Going the next week.
Yeah, and he said he wasn't turning cartwheels. I mean, he came in and he was, I won't say somber, but he was very, very satisfied with the effort and with the way they played. He was frustrated that they didn't hang on for 5 more minutes and get the win. And he definitely made it a point numerous times during the press conference to say, this is just baby steps. This is the beginning. He said baby steps 2 or 3 times. He said Rome was not built in a day. We have a long way to go. We have a big mountain to climb, but he feels that if they keep playing, he said that when he went in after the game, what he told the players is, that is now your standard. Like, if you play any less than that, what you did today, then that's already not acceptable. You have to play like that or better, nothing lower than what you just played. And you will have a chance to win some games if you continue to play like that for 90 minutes.
You think he found his starting lineup? Is that the same starting lineup we're going to see Saturday against Montreal?
Well, Pizarro will still be out, I believe. Well, I don't know. When does Gold Cup end? Yeah, he'll still be out.
But whether he's out
whether
or not,
he is or not. I know. Well, I mean, that's going to be the big question next week. So Blaze, this was definitely, a full game benching, suspension, whatever you want to call it. He didn't even come in 1 minute of the game. So what happens now? What does he do with Matuidi? And what does he do with Pizarro? If Pizarro comes back, what do you do then with two of your DPs? Do you bench both DPs and stick with the team that played the best and tell those two guys that they have to work their way back in the lineup, right? I mean, yeah.
I mean, that's what I would. It seems to me like Neville doesn't really have a hard time making the tough decision, which I really like that about Neville, that he'll make that tough decision. And you know, it's kind of like whether it's Jimmy Johnson or Pete Carroll or Bill Belichick, some of these, or Don Shula, these guys didn't give a shit whether you got paid $500,000 or $5 million. They didn't care. They needed the guy that was the best on. Shula was going to play whoever's the best guy on the field. Belichick does the same thing. And I think Phil Neville, he inherited this mess. So he's got to figure out who's committed and who's not committed, who helps me, who doesn't help me. And if Matuidi and Pizarro don't help him, then you got to go with the other guys. Let me ask you a follow-up to all of this. I haven't rewatched the game. I'll rewatch it tonight. But it kind of felt like they went back to playing more from outside in instead of playing from the middle of the field trying to create, which they don't really have outside of Federico as much. But I saw a little bit more outside in. Did you notice that too?
Well, one thing is Kieran Gibbs played. We haven't mentioned him because he's kind of a quiet type, but he did make his first start last night. And Robbie Robinson mentioned that he really enjoyed playing with him on the left side, on the left flank, that Kieran Gibbs and he were able to do a lot of overlapping and a lot of passing between each other. And he felt that really helped the attack, having Kieran Gibbs in there. So, maybe having him on the left wing as a left back, is maybe that's one reason that they could do more from the outside. I mean, that's always the way that Lewis Morgan seems to prefer playing, is to come, running up the right side and cross it in. I think they did. I think overall you're right. They probably did create a lot more from the outside in, but just in general, I just think Federico, he makes a big difference in the middle there.
They have to, Michelle, because they have zero midfielders. He's the only guy they have in the middle of the pitch that can actually make some plays and create something out of nothing. They don't have it. Pizarro holds on to the ball. It's like he has this brain fart where it doesn't travel from his brain to his foot quick enough to make a decision and get the ball out to somebody. He keeps dribbling and finding and looking and all that.
Yeah, he makes some he'll make some fancy dribbles, but then the next thing you know, he's trapped with three defenders and then he's stuck,
Right.
Yeah, you've seen that. There's always players like that. My daughter had players like that on her soccer team. They look really flashy, and when they're dribbling through people, it's like, whoa, look at these moves. But then all of a sudden they end up trapped in the corner with three guys around them, and then they don't know, then there's nowhere to go, So the guys who get rid of the ball faster, and women, when they're playing soccer, I've always admired the players who get rid of the ball faster, who can make quicker decisions, and especially as an attacking midfielder position, your job, it's like the point guard. Your job is get the ball and get rid of the ball and give it to somebody who's open, And I do think that Fede has on this team, Jay Chapman said a very good quote the other day, I thought. He said, at this point for us, these were his exact words, it's not who are the best players, it's who are the best players for this team. And I think that was a really smart quote, because if you were to say who are the best players, like if you were to do a contest of, dribbling skills or, whatever, juggling the ball, if you were to say who are the most talented players, who are the best players, it might be Higuain and Matuidi and Pizarro and whatever. But if you say who are the best players for this team with this collection of players that you have on your roster, who are the best 11 that play together, which is what the coach's job is, to find those 11. It may not be necessarily the best players who are the best for this team.
Yeah, and listen, where I take everything away from Pizarro and Matuidi, which have not impressed me, I still, while he frustrates me that he hasn't scored, I still love that Higuain is working his ass off, dude, and trying to do anything.
Did you see him sprinting yesterday? He did 2 sprints. Of course, then he was winded. And completely out of breath, and then he couldn't get to the box. When the ball did get to the other side, then there was no one in the box because he was still huffing and puffing back over there. But he did make 2 sprints of about 40 yards down each, to track back on defense. I mean, he clearly got the message from Phil Neville that anyone who doesn't track back on defense and doesn't help is not going to play. And he did. He runs around, even though it's not as easy for him, clearly. He does run around and he works. He does, he does work during the game, and he's also a good passer. I mean, his pass to Robbie Robinson was a beautiful pass into space, and Robbie, of course, found the pass because I don't know if you remember last week's game. Gonzalo made a pass to the left thinking that Pizarro was going to be there, and he wasn't. And all of a sudden, it looked like he was just passing into an open piece of grass because the person who was supposed to be there did not anticipate and get there. So, I do think that Gonzalo does add a lot to the team. Yes, he should be scoring more. And those 1v1s against the goalkeeper, I mean, he needs to put those away. Yeah, he has to finish. He's supposed to be the clinical finisher. That's what he's supposed to be. That's what they hired him to do, is to finish.
Yep, I'm with you. All right, before I let you go, one more thing. Did you guys ask Robbie about his health and how he's feeling? Because obviously he was able to put in a nice good sweat and play the whole game last night, where he was taken out in the last game, which was a smart move because they were getting killed at that time. Why even put him at risk? But how's he feeling physically?
Yeah, he said he feels really well. He said that in fact, his opening sentence was that it felt great to score the goal, and it felt equally great to be able to leave the field healthy. He said that, it had been a thing on his mind, that leaving the game healthy is one of the goals that he's had. And he left the game healthy. He played a really good game. I thought, he did miss, one really shot that he was just so close, but he played a good game. He showed what he can do, finally lifted at least some of the burden off this team by finally scoring a goal. And so, he said he felt very good after the game, that he felt healthy, and that was as satisfying to him as scoring the goal.
All right, good stuff as always. Make sure you follow her on Twitter at Koff Sports. More importantly, catch her work there at the Miami Herald, as she does a great job of covering Inter Miami on a daily basis. Michelle, as always, thank you very much. Appreciate the insight. Enjoy your week. Have a safe
All right, you too. And thanks again to the Herrera family. So
yes, thank you, Herrera family. Thank you for being a big-time supporter of our program and supporting Michelle Kaufman. That is absolutely awesome. Thank you, Michelle.
All right. Take care. Have a good week.
Be good. There you go. The great Michelle Kaufman. Gotta love it, man. And the Herrera family, too. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. It's very cool. It's very cool to see the show catching on and more people finding out about it. And it doesn't, obviously our live audience, all the folks that are on YouTube and Twitch and Facebook that are watching, I love all of you out there, but obviously the majority of the audience is the podcasting audience, because that's the way the world is. Everything on demand, then they catch you later on and they hear whatever the hell they want to hear and all that stuff, So, it's a beautiful thing. So we thank the Herrera family for supporting us and watching or downloading, however it is that they do with the show. And remember to smash the hell out of the like button. It is so important to smash that like button and support us, folks. All right. Appreciate you. Let's see. YouTube channel. Send in your questions, your comments. Yahoo email, BigORadioshow@yahoo.com. Send it in. Twitter at Big O Show. Cash App and Venmo, Cash Big O Show. That's Cash Big O Show. And we got a bonus. We got Dave Barry in there too. The legend, baby. The exceptional columnist of the Miami Herald, and a trip too. He's got a great sense of humor, man. I love Dave Barry. I loved reading Dave Barry's articles for years, for decades. Sorry, Dave. I know we're both old. I'm with you, Dave. I'm with you. I've been around the block a couple times, so I'm with you, baby. I know what it's like, but I'm a huge Dave Barry fan, so that was cool to see Dave Barry. So he loves his dark chocolate covered almonds. There you go. So now you know that if you ever want to give Dave Barry a present, you give him dark chocolate covered almonds, because he is a major fan of dark chocolate covered almonds. It's a beautiful thing. All right, what else do we have that we want to talk about a little bit here on the program? You know what I did see, and oh, well, wait a minute. Why don't we do this? Let's take a quick break here for the top of the hour, and then we'll come back and we'll get ready for hour number 4. We're going to start hour number 4 on the program here on the show. So let's take a really quick break, and then we'll come back to start hour number 4 of the Big O Radio Show.
Starting in August, longtime Miami Heat insider Ira Winderman joins the Big O Radio Show. Ira will give insight twice a week on your favorite NBA team. Heat fans get the information you crave from one of the best in the business. From weekly appearances to breaking news, join Ira Winderman exclusively on the Big O Show. Found on most platforms.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
The viewpoint, statements, or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. When it comes to South Florida sports teams, very few in the media have witnessed, lived, and covered it like the Big O. Let's start the program dedicated to your favorite South Florida teams with a passion that's unmatched. The Big O Radio Show is on. Here's the Big O.
All righty, hour numero 4 here on the program. Hope you all are doing well. It's crazy. We're already starting our 4th hour. Not that we'll do a whole hour here. This will be the shorter part of the show here. But I do have a couple of things that I do want to talk about. I did find it kind of funny that the Texans now say that they are open for business here with Watson and trying to they're willing to take on, offers for Deshaun Watson. Not that they really could trade him anyway. Overall, I don't think they could. I don't think that the NFL would allow a trade because we still don't know what's going on with Watson. But the way the story works out is apparently they are set to try to start, they've got the phone open and folks can come on in and give us an offer and make the best deal that you can possible, which again, to me, I find it awkward right now for the NFL. I don't know how the NFL has not stepped in and said, hey, no, we can't do that right now. You guys can't be trading for Deshaun Watson. We're going to put him on the commissioner's exempt list. And the fact that, it says Texans are willing to listen to offers, here's where the NFL should have stepped in weeks ago, months ago, and should have put the young man already on the exemption list. Because what the exemption list does, you're not taking anything away from Watson. You're not hurting the Texans. You're not hurting anything. What you are doing is taking the burden off of everyone else, because the Texans are going to feel pressure that they got to get rid of the guy. Watson wants to get the hell out of there because he can't stand the place, right? I get all of that, but you've got 22, civil cases that are facing this guy. Plus, there's an investigation going on behalf of the NFL. I'm sure the police are also investigating all of this. So you really don't know where this is leading to. So let's avoid the embarrassment. Put him on the commissioner's list. No one can talk about him. No one can trade for him. He can't do anything. He's got to stay there and wait for the process to be done. That way, once the process is done and he's either not guilty or guilty, you now know what to do. Because if he's guilty and you've been negotiating and trying to move him and the NFL's not doing anything about it and rumors are going and people are talking about it and teams that are supposedly interested, those names come out, then all of a sudden you look terrible as an organization. You mean you were in contract negotiations with a team to try to trade for a player that's been charged with rape? And now you've got to answer all those questions. It's a little bit like, it's like spreading a virus. And instead, right now, the vaccine is the commissioner's list. And that's what the commissioner should be doing, is using the vaccine. Inject it, commissioner's list, get everybody out of the picture. Nobody has to carry the burden. And then if he is found innocent, then now everybody's cleared. And now Deshaun Watson can move on with his life. The Texans can move on with their team and everybody's happy. The team that acquires him is now acquiring a player that has been found not guilty. So now you don't have the lingering, controversies, none of that. Everybody's protected. Deshaun gets to move on with a clean record. Houston gets to make the trade, not worry about the burden. The other team that acquires him is acquiring it without a burden. But if you allow this dark cloud to hang over you, then you are openly, you're in a way, you're kind of crapping on all these women. Basically is what you're doing if you're the NFL. You don't believe in these women, so you're not taking it serious, so you're just letting them go about business. That's basically the message you're sending if you're the NFL. We're not taking this serious. These women, it's all money grab. Let them work the deal out. That way, the second it's done, they can make their trade right away. What about if it's true? What about if it's true in 4 cases? What about if it's true in 1 case? What about if it gets proven in 20 cases? You just don't want to take that chance. That's the part I don't understand with the NFL on this one. How in the world are you not protecting yourself? How in the world are you not saying, let's put everything on ice right now. Let's wait till the legal process is over. That's normally what would make a lot of sense in this case. Allowing them to work business as usual, that to me, ladies and gentlemen, doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So anybody see Tom Brady this weekend? Huh? Anybody catch Tom Brady and the jugs machine? I listen, it looked real to me. All right. I don't know how you fake it. I don't know if there's any film on how to fake this stuff, but it looked pretty real, especially when he knocked down the jugs machine and it spit it back up again. And here's the other thing. I believe that can be done. I really do. I think if you have the accuracy, which quarterbacks can do things with the football that it's like watching a hockey player with the puck and the stick. I don't think people realize how gifted these hockey players are with that puck and that stick. I really feel that 90% of sports fans don't appreciate how good these guys in hockey are and how they can control it. Just like a basketball player. I mean, Curly Neal for the Harlem Globetrotters could make the full court shot on a consistent basis. It's a gift, man. It's something you develop over time that either you can or you can't do it. One of the two. But when you're that good, it's like watching, Tiger do all those tricks with the golf club and the and the ball. Most of us can't ever do that kind of stuff, but Tiger can do it because Tiger is a freaking monster. Like a lot of these golfers that have incredible control of their swing and the club and the ball and everything. And now how most of us, we pray that we can drive it straight. These guys can drive it straight blindfolded. It's a whole different. So to me, I don't know if maybe there's some editing going on, but it didn't seem like there was any editing. Now, what I was thinking about all of this was the one thing that stood out to me when I saw Tom Brady do this. You know what it reminded me of? Michael Jordan. You know what it reminded me of? Mike Tyson. You know what it reminded me of? Larry Bird. You know what it reminded me of? The 80s Canes. Anybody have any idea where I'm going with this? Tom Brady is like those folks. Muhammad Ali was another one of these kind of people. They beat you before you step on the court, the ice, the boxing ring, whatever it is that they excel at, okay? It's, the 80s Canes were so intimidating that most teams already lost the game before it started. Most teams, when they had to face Michael Jordan and the Bulls, they kind of felt it was over already. And that's Tom Brady. Tom Brady's the GOAT that just puts you in your place and sends this intimidation factor to you that you just didn't expect. And a lot of, it happens, not a lot, it happens with a few set of people or teams over time that they have that special gift that the opponent is already thinking of their greatness and how impossible of a task they're facing. They may not tell you publicly, they may not answer it to the media ever, but deep down inside, they know. Deep down inside, there were several teams that took the field in the Orange Bowl, and when they looked across, they go, we stand no chance here. The Canes are going to kill us. And they can act tough, and they can look tough, and they can try to be tough, but in the end, the Canes are going to break them down. In the end, Muhammad Ali was going to break you down. In the end, you were already scared shitless of Mike Tyson walking into the ring because he was just walking in with shorts and some cloth over his head that had a hole for his head. And you're like, this guy's just raw. This is Clubber Lang practicing in his basement. And, that this is what this dude is. That's what you thought of. And that's what I thought of with Tom Brady when I watched him do that. Because he's got the 7 rings. He's won it with 2 different teams. He's got the all-American or all-world, wife or whatever, beautiful model, all that kind of stuff. He's got the life, and the dude is a winner, period. And you know what? There's probably several quarterbacks in the league that can do exactly what he did. But because it's Tom Brady, it sends just a different message. Like, there's the GOAT once again. And that immediately, that's what it reminded me of. It reminded me of one of those athletes. It's like Serena in her prime. Can you imagine? She's a specimen, dude. You look at that body and that athlete, and you're like, are you kidding me? How do I stand a chance? And I'm sure it was like that back in the day when you were having to play Steffi Graf. Same thing. There was an intimidation factor to it all. Because you knew she was so much stronger than you and more or could overpower you and was more athletic. Same thing as Serena. Obviously, now it's a different Serena now. She's an older Serena, and she's not in the same kind of shape she used to be back in the day. So it's a different Serena now. Now it's an older Serena that maybe seems a little more accessible to players. But back in the day, it's like watching Tiger. He's got the lead, and he's walking the last couple holes, and he's wearing that red Nike shirt, and it's over, bro. He's cut up. He's knocking the hell out of the ball, 400 yards down in a straight line, and you're like, I'm done. I'm cooked. You know, there's certain moments where that athlete just seems unbeatable. And that's kind of what I thought of with Tom Brady when I saw that whole jugs machine stuff. It was like, okay, this is a dude that right now at the moment is just unbeatable. What else did we have to talk about here on the program? Texans traded for Anthony Miller from the Bears, late round pick. Kid really hasn't become much. I do have to thank J-Lo for those of us that watched her IG. Wow. She turned 52 over the weekend. It's funny because I was going back and forth with one of our followers, listeners, whatever, on Twitter, and I was like, man, Ben Juan and A-Rod's a loser. And so the guy goes to me, hey, bro, A-Rod will be able to find some other chick that's younger and just as fine or finer and whatever. And I go to him, and you know, he then, you know, it's a typical thing that happens in today's world. But the argument was, okay, he'll find a younger one. And I said, yeah, that's fine. But I'll still take J-Lo, because if she's into you and she has a bank account that can match yours or better, you know she's really into you. And yeah, A-Rod might be able to find a younger babe, sure. And she'll be fine and all that. She ain't going to be in love with him. She's just going to want his money. She's just going to want a free ride. So you got to tap that ass so you can, you know, give her the free ride. That's what you end up with. But if you end up with J-Lo and you're A-Rod and she's actually into you, well, then you actually have a real woman by your side. And if you have you seen her at 52? I got a pretty good idea she's going to look phenomenal in the next 10 years. Did anybody see that model the other day that was like 67 years old walking? I forgot what model thing was going on, what event. I don't follow that shit. I have no idea, but I ran into it in one of the preparation pages that I was talking about, and the woman's like 67 or something like that, and she was a knockout, dude. Like a knockout. I'm telling you. An absolute knockout. Like, wow, this woman's in her 60s? Are you kidding me? And she looked great. I mean, she was a 12 from 1 to 10. Okay, so J-Lo, you know, if you're like Applebee's, you're going to be eating good in the neighborhood for the next 10 more years the way she looks. What's wrong with that, dude? So I told them I'd rather have the woman that matches the bank account or more, and she's actually into me, and she's beautiful, bro. She's super fine. You know, I'd rather have that than the younger girl who doesn't give a shit about you, just cares about your bank account. And then he started going into a whole other diatribe about something else. I go, well, way to go, bro. That was not the conversation. I even forgot what direction he went in. But it's hard to argue with that because I'd rather have the woman that's into you, man. The sex is going to be better, you know, than the girl that's really just there for a paycheck, basically. And that's what A-Rod will end up with. Now, listen, is she in love with Ben? I don't know, dude. I have no idea. But she's into him now. And they were together before, so maybe there was something that, how many boyfriend and girlfriends break up or were almost married or whatever, and then years later they get back together again because that love was always there. Happens all the time. And maybe that's the case with them. But all I know is that after watching the pictures she posted at 52 over the weekend, Ben is winning and A-Rod is a loser. I mean, he's been a loser forever, but this just piles on the losing to be an even bigger loser. overall. But nah, it's all right. A-Rod will have fun looking at himself in the mirror. Steffi was amazing. She won her first Grand Slam at 17, retired at 30 while collecting 22 Grand Slams, including the Golden Slam in 88. Yeah, Steffi Graf was I'd give anything to watch Steffi in her prime and Serena in her prime. That might be the greatest women's tennis match in the history of time. If I could get those two in their prime to play against each other, that would be freaking awesome, dude. I'll pay anything to be in that stadium to watch that live. Steffi versus Serena in the prime. Be sick, dude. Oh, do you think you could handle Serena in bed, or would she kill you at this point? Doesn't matter, bro. You know what I'm saying? Either way, you survive, it's awesome. You die, it's awesome. Doesn't matter. You see what I'm saying? Either way, put it this way. Either way, you end up with a smile on your face. Okay? Now, I will say, she's not the same Serena that she's been in the. We're not talking. This Serena is not Serena Catsuit. You know what I'm saying? That's why she's not the same player anymore, because she's an older player and she's carrying a bigger body now. Okay, I'm not picking on her weight or anything like that, but she's a lot thicker than normal. And as you get older, what you want to do is lose weight, not gain it, because it becomes that much harder for you to kind of maintain your level of play. That's why Riley has been so successful over the years with his veterans, because he has this thing where he wants you, as you become an older player, he wants you to come in a pound lighter every year. That's kind of how you make up for your age, that you come in shape, but you come in at a lighter weight. That's kind of what he does overall. Gabriella Sabatini was good. Gabriella Sabatini was a good player, not a great player. She was a good player. Okay, Gabby was a beautiful girl, is what she was. But I wouldn't put her in the Steffi Graf, Chris Everett, Martina, Serena. You know, I wouldn't put her at that level. She was a notch under. Her, Mary Jo Fernandez, you know, those kind of players are that notch under. Okay, I wouldn't put them in the elite category of tennis players. But she was a very good player. There's no doubt about it. Okay? That I am not going to take anything away from her. Unfortunately, J-Lo is not a stable woman who all over the place with all these men prefer a faithful girl. Or maybe she's just terrible luck, dude. There are some people that are bad at it, man. Maybe she's dying. It seems to me like she's dying to find somebody to stay with, you know? So she's unfortunately made some bad decisions. Love you, Big O. Guys, feeling tarde. Going to check out one of my students' essays. Go for it, Willie. Do your thing. I love how you guys come in, you check in. It's a beautiful thing. Let's see. What else do we have? Willie says, just smashed. The vax is now political. Dave says, so true. Nowhere in the world is it easier to select from a buffet of vaccines than the U.S. And the U.S. country, and are begging, and you folks are holding lotteries to coerce the vax hesitants. Trump got the vax too. Yeah, of course. I mean, phony all the way to the end, bro. Do as I tell you, but don't do what I do. Nah. We won't tell you that. You never know, Big O. We might see Serena child versus an Andre Agassi child. Yeah, but it still won't be the same. It's still not going to be Serena versus Steffi, because you know, John, you're old enough. Those of you that are old enough to have seen Steffi, dude, that would have been an awesome match. That would be phenomenal. All right, let's see. What else do I have here that I wanted to get off my my chest here? What else? Oh, Wayne Rooney. Did you guys see Wayne Rooney? Wayne Rooney is an absolute piece of work or a piece of something else, depending on what you want to call him. But Wayne Rooney got busted cheating on his wife, and he's got 4 kids and all that stuff. But now he's mad at the hose that he was tied down to. So apparently Rooney, who's married, 3 kids, not 4. He called the cops now. Police have been called in after an embarrassing photo of Wayne Rooney on a night out was shared on social media. One of the images shows Rooney, 35, fast asleep on a chair with a scantily clad woman lying on a bed in the background. The former Manchester United striker apparently fell asleep upright with his chin on his chest and hands in his pockets. The semi-naked woman pictured in the hotel room with Rooney are a Snapchat model and her 2 friends, it has emerged. As a former England football star complained to police that he was set up after social media flooded with images of the night out. The ex-Manchester United ace Rooney, who's married to Colleen and has 4 sons, he does have 4, with his childhood sweetheart, reportedly partied into the early hours of Sunday with model Taylor Ryan and her friends, Elise Melvin and Brooke Morgan, all 21, according to the Sun newspaper. So, friends of the 3 girls told the Sun that Rooney, 35, and his friends had invited Taylor, Elise, and Brooke to his VIP booth at the exclusive China White Club for probably the wildest night of their lives. They said there was no sexual contact. It was just a great night. Photos on social media showed the retired English striker asleep in his chair as the girls stripped to their underwear at their $60 per night hotel room in Manchester last night, with one flashing her bottom next to Rooney, then posting the caption, Mooney Rooney. Mooney Rooney. I love that. And then there's a picture of him making out with a blonde, by the way. Okay? It says, this is harassment and intrusion of privacy. Image genders were switched, and Wayne Rooney was a female, and this was a man taking and sharing these pictures. This needs to be investigated by the police, not only by Colleen Rooney, but you're not ready for that conversation. So they show the girl with the moon and next to Rooney sleeping. But there's another picture that came out that shows him making out with one of the blondes right in the middle of the bar. You're Wayne Rooney, dude. Like, everybody knows who the hell you are. What the hell are you doing, man? And then it's their fault. You tied yourself to 3 whatever gold diggers. These are the kind of women that A-Rod's going to meet. Yeah, they might be fine, but they're not going to care at all. But the fact that they have the picture of him making out with the girl, that's not a good one there. And Rooney should only be mad at himself for stupidity, to be honest with you. Let me see if I don't know if you guys can tell, but there it is, right there. You see it? Him making out with the girl. So that's where he ends up, And then, of course, this is the Mooney Rooney. There you go. See him sleeping, and then she's showing her booty. These are the things that, this is why you end up in the tabloids right there. One on the bed, you're sleeping, and then the other one with the and by the way, who ends up in a room with a bunch of women? You're only going to go to a room with a bunch of women for one reason. You want to have some sex. Oh, here's the other thing, Wayne. Maybe since you're Wayne Rooney, you might want to collect the phones from the girls before you start anything. Say, hey, girls, can we put the phones away? Let's put them away. Let's have some fun. No phones. So we all can have a private night together. And if they don't want to go with that, then you just walk out and go away. But at least if you're going to do it, use something, bro. I mean, they're going to want to sleep with you anyways, right? Because you're Wayne Rooney. So they'll probably put their phones away. And as long as they put their phones away, then nobody finds out. You grab each phone, you turn it off, and boom, the rest is history. I mean, I do it all the time. I have all these IG models that are, just, and I tell them, hey, I'm married, so I need you to put your phone away. And so usually the 4 IG models come up to the room with me, put their phones away, and we have fun. I mean, that's normally the way I work it. That way the wife doesn't find out. Anyway, so I'm having fun, folks. Relax, okay? Oh, why do rich guys, especially athletes and entertainers, get married? They're not going to be able to keep it in their pants. Troy, I've talked about this. You remember when Tiger got busted, right? And one of the things that I never, ever picked on Tiger for, sure, he screwed up and he cheated on Elin Nordegren like 4,000 times. I get all of that. But the one thing that I'll never know, okay, all kidding aside now, all right, the serious stuff now, and most of you out there will never know, is we have no idea what it's like for women to throw themselves at us. Even if we're married. We don't know how we're going to react. A lot of us can say, oh, Tiger's a jerk, man. Wayne Rooney's a jerk. These guys can't keep it in their pants and this and that. And come on. But you have we've never lived that life. That every bar you walk into, there's 20 women that want to, take your clothes off right there and then. None of us have ever felt that. None of us have ever had that kind of attention. So we really don't know how we're going to act with that. You might handle fame in the first week or two or month, but then after that, then fame takes over and people want to give you everything. They want to be with you. They want you to be a part of what they do, this and that, whatever. And I'm sure it becomes overwhelming and it has to become tempting. It has to become tempting, dude. But we've never lived that life. So we have no idea how the hot redhead or blonde or brunette that when I walk into the bar or the party or the bar mitzvah or the whatever it is that you go to, there's somebody there that wants to cheat with you. Maybe there's 10 that want to cheat with you. None of us know what that feeling is like. So none of us really know if we could really stop the temptation. I mean, think about it. You're a rock star. So you're touring all over the world. You're stopping in a different city every other night. And every other night, bro, there are 30 women backstage that want to rape your ass. Literally rape your ass. Okay? They want to take your clothes off and they want to have sex with you. And if they can take a picture, it would be their entire lives, because that's all they do. And then obviously it gets you in trouble. But she's incredibly fine. And she's willing to come with her friend or 2 friends. And so you're about to have a twosome or a threesome. See what I'm saying? And those rock stars and those athletes, they could probably have twosomes and threesomes in every city that they go to. You mean I can sleep with those 2 women? Holy moly. You mean I can sleep with those 10? Wow. So that's where I think a lot of us guys, we got to cut the shit, bro. We got to stop being full of crap. We have zero idea how we would handle that. You could talk a tough game, but you have no idea what you're going to react like when fine woman after fine woman is coming after you. You might end up folding at one point or another. So that's where I get it. They're married and, you're famous, but maybe a lot of them thought that they could be faithful and all of that, but they could not handle their fame and the attention that women give them. Let's see. Jennifer Capriati, good at tennis. Better at marijuana. Let's see. What else do we have here? By the way, Antonio, I will agree with you on this. She was a better player on grass than on clay or hard court. All right. Rosendo, Derek Jeter did it the right way. Yeah. Well, but he was single, so he milked it the right way. He went out with all the famous honeys, but he was single and he stayed. But again, the Derek Jeters, the Russell Wilsons, the Cal Ripkins, the Tony Gwynns, these dudes are freaks, bro. They're just not normal human beings. They're not. The Tuas, these people aren't normal, man. They're incredibly special. They're just freaks of all freaks, not just as athletes and all that, but somehow or another, they have that magic gift that they're able to handle everything great. You know what I'm saying? So I would not be surprised, like a Russell Wilson could get laid everywhere, and somehow or another, he plays it the right way, and he keeps his cool. You know, so I could see a Jeter where he did it the right way as a single guy, never got in any trouble. And notice how most of the women that Jeter was going out with, what did I tell you? What have I said over the years? Go out with somebody that has as much to lose as you do, right? And it's Minka Kelly, and it's, you know, all these different women, Jennifer Aniston, all that. I mean, he banged like elite actresses, okay? He rarely was going out with people that were nobodies. You know, Adriana Lima and stuff. He was going out with people that have money and fame and power in their own right. And so he's smart. Derek Jeter is just, he's at another level, dude. But again, those are the freaks. There's only a few of those guys. There's just only a few of those guys that could actually handle it, you know, and do it the right way. Most of us would probably cave into the temptations. Let's be honest. Let's just call it like we see it, you know? All right, we got to wrap it up here on the show. Let's thank Omar Kelly, of course, with our EJDconstruction.com Miami Dolphins report. David Dwork, of course, excellent job covering the Panthers for WPLG and Chirping the Cats podcast. Also, Michelle Kaufman. And we got a little Dave Barry in the video, so we got a little bonus there. Michelle does an excellent job of covering Inter Miami for the Miami Herald. Tomorrow, Ira Winderman is set to join us at 10:30. We will start at 10 tomorrow. Manny Navarro will start at 12:30. He'll join us. We probably will add a third guest, but I have not figured it out yet who is joining us. We're working on that. We will see you tomorrow. We thank all of you out there for sending it in. Manny J. Snow, Leon Fresco, Darryl Stewart, Devin, Daniel, Dominic. Thank you all for your Cash App or Venmo. Cash App, Venmo, Cash Big O Show. That's Cash Big O Show. If you want to support our show, we appreciate that. We will see you tomorrow. Same time, same place, same bat channel.
Starting in August, longtime Miami Heat insider Ira Winderman joins the Big O Radio Show. Ira will give insight twice a week on your favorite NBA team. Heat fans get the information you crave from one of the best in the business. From weekly appearances to breaking news, join Ira Winderman exclusively on the Big O Show. Found on most platforms.